Folks, we are live. Welcome to is this Talking Crit Tavern Chat, Dungeons Dragons and Discourse?
I knew that I knew your brain would run out of room.
Yes, no, actually, no, that's why I
ran
have
out of room
the
finally.
banner at the bottom of the screen so I wouldn't forget. There we go.
Okay.
We have Talking Crit tonight. Okay, I am your bartender in the OSR, Eric Tenkar. You probably know that from watching this. My work spouse to my side here is none other than Mike Bad Battleato. And with us tonight, often the behind-the-scenes person at North Texas that made it run as well as it did, and you never knew because he was always running around.
And we talk about him all the time. So that's the other thing is we realize we talk about him all the time. But I don't know if we've ever had him on the show.
We never had Gary on the show.
No, and we're always talking about Gary's doing this, Gary's doing that, Gary's over here. He's
right.
My favorite line from the Facebook page last year was, "Who's this Gary Oliver guy?" I still think that was the funniest line of the whole last
Who
year.
said that? That was great.
Jim Johnson said
that was it. Yes.
Who's this Gary Oliver guy? And I'm like, oh, been there forever. Don't tell you. So.
But see, right now you are literally holding up Mike and I, which is really what you've been doing at North Texas, because you're always the one when something goes wrong. It's always like, "Where's Gary?" And you see Gary running from one location to the other. So I mean,
it's only because I know where all the bodies are buried. I mean,
somebody has to know.
So Gary was involved this before I really even knew Gary. He was Doug's friend. That's all I knew. Doug's friend. Didn't really game, and I remember him at the second. So we thought for a long time he was at the first North Texas. He was not. He helped set up, and he was not there. But the second one, he was there helping set up, and I met him. Seemed like a nice guy, and Doug would yell at him, and he'd run and go do stuff. I'm like, God, Doug's mean to this guy, because he'd just always be, yelling at Gary, and they'd be yelling back and forth, whatever, But if you got to know Doug, that's just the way he showed his love. He screamed at you, and so, like an abusive parent that had to discipline you. But so Gary, he's been involved with the con since the very beginning, but just kind of a backstage kind of guy, and and he's kind of like Doug's henchman, and he's been on plenty of adventures with Doug. You were with him when y'all went up to see Jim Ward and play with Jim Ward and Ernie years ago. Yep. And I mean you've done plenty of stuff with Doug, but when Doug started getting sick, Doug couldn't do a lot of stuff, and luckily, you talk about where the bodies are buried. Gary knows where all the passwords are. Luckily, now he knows where all the passwords are, all the files are, and such. I couldn't do that. I don't know all that stuff. I don't know how to make tabletop games work. I don't know how to look in Doug's files and find old spreadsheets. I don't know. And luckily, that's Gary's skill set. Gary's able to do it. Gary's a financier, so to speak. He's backgrounds in accounting and finance, correct?
Yes.
And
degree in
and so our abilities perfectly mirror each other, because I have nothing to do with that. Numbers are scary. I don't understand how to do mundane tasks like that. But what I'm good at is Gary doesn't want to do, which is schmoozing people, handling stuff, auctioning stuff off, things like that. That's what I'm good at. So we fit, our skill sets are perfect. So we were able to, when Doug got sick right before the con last year, literally right before the con, and he had to go to the hospital. It was very serious. Gary and I are like, well, I guess we're running the con this year, last minute. And it went off without a hitch. I thought we did a good job.
What was interesting is, I spent about 2 or 3 days at the hospital before the convention with Doug, literally taking pages and pages and pages of handwritten notes about, don't forget this and don't forget that, and make sure, here's where you go to find this, and this is what I do to find that, and just on and on and on and on of these notes. And I'll never forget. So I'm running registration last year. I'm sitting at the desk, and Skeeter's kind of standing right there, and somebody checked in or whatever, and I'm thumbing through these pages of notes trying to find something. He goes, "What is that?" And I said, "This right here is how I figure out where the hell everything is." I said, "I've got, the person asked a question. I don't even remember what the question was, but I was like, hang on, it's written in here." And I just started thumbing through there. And so Skeeter just thought it was hilarious that I had this, binder of notes of things that had to happen a certain way or whatever. But but I'm glad to do it. I love the convention. I love Mike's right. The first convention, um, what the joke was with Doug. He's like, we went back and forth about whether I was there. We thought I was there because I helped set up the day before. I had helped loaded all the coolers up at Doug's house. We had moved some stuff over to the hotel and so forth. But I remembered I'd had a camping trip that weekend, and somebody said something about whatever. And I said, Doug, if you had hosted a dog crap convention, I would have showed up. I mean, I'm your buddy. And so, I mean, that's kind of how, but I mean, as it went on and I got more involved, I had played D&D in high school and I had been a part of that, but I had kind of fallen out of that since college and really didn't game much anymore. But then Doug was like, well, just go play a game. He goes, go hook up with Ben Burns. He runs a great D&D game. And I had a blast. And then I got in the chariot thing and I had a blast. And then somebody showed me Battletech. And while that was over, I had a blast. And so, I mean, yeah. And so, and Alan Groh had Aliens and I was hooked. And so, I mean, as it's gone on, I have tried to help out throughout the years and be there to make sure the trains run on schedule, so to speak. But, last year after Doug had gone to the hospital and Mike and I had talked, I said, look, I've got all these notes. It's okay. I've got all the money. We're all good. I said, but there's things I'm worried about. And I said, the special guest luncheon, I don't know these people very well. To Mike's point, and Zach had made a comment too. He said, I just don't think a lot of people know who you are because they're like, who's this Gary guy or whatever. And so I just told Mike, I said, you've got to handle the special guest luncheon, the auctions. And then, so I don't know the material very well. So I said, Mike, you got to handle the auctions. So, well, then he gets sick. He goes partying with Alex Kamer and gets sick. And I'm freaking out because it's Saturday and I don't have any. Well, here comes Jim Kitchen. He goes, I've done auctions before. I go, good, you're nominated. I just like, whatever. I got to have it. But
Jim saved our ass.
I
feel better by the auction, but I'm glad I didn't have to do the auction. I did do the midnight. I was okay by the midnight auction, but the regular auction, Jim does auctions for Gary Con. It's just great. He did a great job.
Yeah.
And by the way, kind of off that, I talked to Jim Kitchen today, Gary, and he wanted to know, would we like him to come in and do the auction? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I got this going, this and that, but I can fly in Friday night, stay Saturday, and fly out Sunday. I said, Jim, you don't have to come to do the auction. Just come. If you want to hang out and do the auction, fine. But I am not going to, we don't make you do the auction. I mean, you did a great job and we loved it, but we just want you to show up and have a good time because you helped us out so much last year. I mean,
I had talked to him. Well, I had chat with him on Facebook and I said, we'd love to have you do it again if you want to. And so I had seen something about he wasn't gonna be able to come, which was okay. We'd figure it out. But no, please, I'd love to have him do it.
I told him to come in if he wanted to. I said I just want him to come to town, relax, have a good time, and if he wants to do the auction, he and I will do the auction. I said, but I don't want that to be the main reason. I want him to come just because we want everybody to come. Just please come and have a good time, which is why one of the reasons why we posted our guest list today of 39 names for our convention with 500 people.
And just so we're clear, you can stop now, okay?
I can stop. I don't know. I got a couple other people.
I'm calling it. We're done. That's it. You're done. You're cut off. This is enough. Jeez.
What if Errol Otis calls me tomorrow and says, "Yeah, I can make it"?
Okay. Then that'll be an exception. Okay, all but right. I'm just saying, just stop. I know. You're killing me.
Well, whatever. Well, you know what? You know what Doug would say to that? He'd say, "Too bad." He'd sign.
He's going to do it anyway. I know.
So, but yeah, so that's the reason we get the special guests we get, though, which is really anybody in the industry who pretty much want to, is because they know they can show up for a con. They're not under any pressure. We only require they run 2 games. They can run more if they want. And we just want them to mingle with the fans and have a good time and have, and be accessible, because a lot of conventions, even some of the ones I like, sometimes they have their platinum badges or their VIP room where, hey, you go in this room, it's just you and this guy and the special guest. We've never had any of that. We're not going to have that. Everybody is accessible. We tell all our guests that. Here's the deal. 100% accessibility. You have to be, and I don't think we've ever had anybody say, "Oh, that's terrible." They're like, "Okay, that's no problem." And that's one of the reasons why a smaller convention like ours can get these guys, because they just love coming back. And the guy I mentioned, Errol Otis, he is the gamingest person we've ever had. I mean, that guy will come to your con and he will game in every slot there is a game. He loves to play games. And so he loves our con because we don't require a lot out of him except just come and be Errol Otis and do whatever. And he will sit there and play games. And a lot of these guys know that. They know they can just show up and play games and have a good time.
Well, the thing that I really wanted to bring down, when you invited me on, the thing I really want to reiterate with people and make sure people understand is we really want to make sure to keep North Texas as traditionally North Texas as possible. So that includes a long list of special guests. We are not gonna we're not gonna cheap out with, we're gonna pay for badges. We're gonna take care of the special guests the way we were supposed to, the way we always have. I was real adamant about certain traditions, and North Texas are going to stay the way they are. And so, because for two reasons. Number one, people love North Texas because of what it is. And the reason they love what it is because it was the way Doug wanted to run it, generally speaking. You had your pieces too, but you and Doug kind of made it the way it is, and that's why people love it. So I don't want to change that. Now, are there certain Dougisms that are ridiculous that we're going to change? Absolutely. I mean, I am not going to force Night Valiants to take a shirt if they don't want to. Things like that. But generally speaking, I want to try to keep the experience as close to original as possible.
Now, for those who don't know, we have what's called a Night Valiant, is somebody that's been to every one of our conventions, and there was only 55 people at our first convention. I think we've whittled it down now to probably half that, or maybe even less. People that have come to every convention. Mike and Liz Stewart are two of the people. Jim Johnson. I mean, we have there's a few names. If you'll see them at
both
the con.
Jim Johnsons.
Yep. And so we David Ray, Doug's son's been to everyone. So anyway, we give out Doug. I started about year 3 or 4, started giving out this purple shirt, and it has the logo on it of all the past cons, and it says Night Valiant. And it was only available for free. He would just give these away, people in all the cons. So, he does it one year, then the next year, then the next year, then the next year, the next year. So pretty soon, me included, you have 10 purple shirts in your closet that all have logos on them. And eventually people were like, John Law was like, I don't want any more purple shirts in my closet. I've got 9 purple shirts in my closet.
Mike and Liz Stewart,
nope, you're getting a shirt. You're getting a purple shirt every year.
Yeah.
They're like,
and Mike and Liz Stewart were in the same boat, and he was like, "Nope, you're taking it." And it's
you're
like
getting a purple shirt you can't, you don't want to wear.
It's like an enema. Here you go. You're taking it whether you like it or not. It just
someday you're going to have 20 of them in your closet, But Gary and I have decided.
Bill is right. We're down to 17 or 18.
If you don't want the purple shirt, because Dennis Stare's been all I talked to him the other day. Can I not get a purple shirt this year?
Yeah.
No, Dennis, you do not have to have a purple shirt.
And I told Mike and Liz they don't have to have one either. That's fine.
Yeah.
I explained on Facebook today, the purple shirt, I'm treating it as an opt-in option. If you want your shirt, let me know. Now, I will reach out to the 17 and verify, but I already know 6 of them that don't. So
Bill Barsh wants his purple shirt. He's a freak.
Yes, he does, by God. And he made it very
weird.
clear to me when I talked to him earlier today.
I think he said something about his wife loves to see him in those, and he wears them out. So it's really sick. It's disturbing. But he's so.
I don't know about that, but okay.
I just heard a rumor. This is a rumor. So
it's a rumor.
Okay. You still deals. You and rumors.
Does this show deal in rumors? Is that?
No, that's all we deal in, dude.
Okay.
No. Listen, when we go on to the Speaking Stupid, my rumors are all generally confirmed with screenshots.
Usually confirm our weird
or
rumors,
multiple
yes.
sources. If I don't have multiple sources,
then.
I'm spitting out of my ass. But
Okay.
Bill, I want my damn shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Like an old person, I want my damn discount. My discount. Bill's like, I want my damn shirt. My free shirt.
Do I get 10% off at all the booths if I wear my Valiant shirt?
We should.
That's vendor specific. That's vendor
specific.
They will. I want my damn shirt.
Boy, as good as we've treated the Barshes over the years, we get that kind of level of disrespect. I don't know. And then he has the goal to bring his son to the convention now, and his
Who
son
becomes a show stealer at that point, you know?
Yeah, and his son's like the superstar of the convention now. He and his hair, so you know, Ben's hair. So
we do. I mean, we appreciate everybody. You know, the something I made a comment to somebody the other day, and I said one of the things about North Texas. I told Mike, but I also was telling somebody else. Somebody said, "Well, we want to keep it." It feels like it's a family event, and I said that's exactly how. In particular, in the last 5 years, that I've gotten a lot more involved in the last 5 or 6 years. I just said it's more like a family reunion.
Yeah, very much so.
You show up, and we get there on Wednesday, and we set up, and the very first thing you do after you set up is you start looking for people to come in the door you hadn't seen in a while, so you can give them a big hug. I mean, you know, and you're excited to see these people you only see one time a year, you know.
And the big difference between our convention and others is, yes, you do that at every convention you go to an extent, but everybody, the convention is small enough, and it's been the same roster year after year, that you go in there and there is very rarely a time you look around and you see somebody you don't know. Very rarely. Yeah. It's all, you know, everybody. You're looking, I know all these vendors, this guy. And that's one thing. Sometimes I go to conventions, and especially a bigger convention like Alex's Game Hole, and you go in there and you might not see somebody you know for a while. You just kind of look around going, I don't know any of these. I don't know any of these people. I have no clue who any of these people are. And that just doesn't happen. North Texas, you know who these guys are. And that's one of the things that's cool about the convention. And so a couple of things I wanted to bring up about the special guest. One of the things we were asked by people after Doug had passed was that, you know, hey, you guys are going to cut down the special guests, right? Because no way you can afford to have over 30 special guests. That's one thing Gary and I were adamant about. Like, nope, we're going to keep doing it the way. There's some things we're going to keep because what makes our con different than other cons, and that's one of the things that makes our con different, is that we've always had. I mean, the first year we had 55 people. We had 5 special guests. I mean, whose convention has a ratio of 10% of your attendees are special guests? That's nuts.
Well, we're holding true to that now. So
yeah, pretty much.
I'm just saying.
No, I'm serious, and that's just what something we wanted to do, and that's the way we like to do it. I mean, there's a few other things like that. The way we space out the rooms. Most rooms only have 2 tables in there. We don't want to shove 6 tables in a room. It gets loud. It's hot, it's miserable, and everybody's been to that convention where everybody's crammed into a room and it's just miserable and you can't hear anything. Doug was adamant from the beginning, we're not going to do this. And I had been to cons where that happened. I said, amen, we are not going to cram people.
We also have more single rooms than most places do, like board rooms and or like over in Maple and so forth, where we have Gladiator that happens by itself. I mean, there's just one table in those rooms on that corner over there. So,
right,
you know.
No, that's and so we space it out really well. We got a lot of space. We basically rent out the whole hotel is us, and so that's just something we're going to continue doing because that's the character of our convention. And that's what we wanted to do. And like Gary said, yeah, there's a couple things. As much as we love Doug like a brother, he tended to do things the hard way sometimes. Just I don't know, maybe to prove to himself he could. I don't know, Gary. Yeah. You tell me you know longer than I did, but he would make things more difficult than they were just so that he could say this was really hard to do.
Yeah,
and it was like, but you didn't have to work that hard. But
there's some truth in that.
Yeah. You know, it just things like Doug was not and just personal stuff. Like Doug was not a big believer in merch. He didn't really care about merch. Right. But merch is huge. Merch is a great way to make money with basically very little effort on your part. But Doug just wasn't into merch. He just, you know, whatever, if it sells, it sells. I don't really care. T-shirts. Doug was never into T-shirts, even though T-shirts they sell.
This year, I think the shirts are going to be big. The new logo and stuff, I think the shirts are going to be big.
We got a great logo by James Shields. We'll show that, I guess, if Gary wants to throw that up.
You want to share my screen? Sure. Okay, so this is the website that we are having brought up. It's almost done. He did it in 2 hours this afternoon, so we're going to try to have it up by tomorrow. But let me share that tab. Which is this one. Yeah.
Listen, they're all fat guy t-shirts.
And so this is our original logo up in the top left, and then links to Facebook and Discord. There'll be another button here for tabletop that's going to go on there. And then there is this year's logo. And for anybody who understands the symbolism in the picture. It's tremendous. I love it. I have a funny story about the logo, but I'll tell it later. But if anybody wants to get some more understanding about what the symbolism in the logo means, I will sit with anybody and tell them all about it. But
James did a great job. James, and this is the thing too about people that come to our con. We get so many people that just literally they just give us stuff because I was talking to Levi Combs today. I said, Levi, just wanted to, make sure that, you're coming to the con. Do you need us to get you a room? Because Levi's a special guest this year. Do you need us to get a room trip? He said, no. He said, I owe Doug so much because the year he came to Casey Christopherson told him about North Texas. He came, he made so many connections there. And of course, if you know Levi now, he's published, several adventures. And he just thinks that, Doug and the con did that for him, got him all the connections and that's the way our people are. The people come to the con, they just have a special connection. We have so many people that want to just give us stuff. It's amazing. We're getting free adventures this year from the Barshes, from Tom Wilson, Ben. I think Ben Burns may have something. And there's a couple. I mean, it's nuts. We're just getting all this stuff from people because they just love the convention of what Doug was doing so much that they're just like, yeah, what can I do to help? If I, whatever I can do to help, I'm going to help.
Well, and James said he wanted to do the logo and he wanted to do it for free, which is fine, and we were glad to have it. And then when he sent it to me, he asked me what I thought, and I said I was speechless. I said I loved it, and he said, I'm glad to hear that. And I said, yeah, I cried for an hour when I saw it. Well, then I called Mike and I say, Mike, did you see the logo? Yeah. Well, what'd you think? It's okay. I'm like, well, what did you not like about it? No, it's good. Okay, you're not saying something. Tell me what you're saying. And then he goes, well, what did you think? And I said, I loved it. I cried for like an hour. And he goes, well, that's the problem right there. I'm afraid it's going to get on his shirt and it's going to be real emotional for you. And I'm like, Mike, you got to be able to tell me these things. I said, I'll get over it. It's fine, but you can't just not tell me that you don't, I'm thinking you don't like the logo. No,
it was great. I just was worried that like I said, I was worried that Gary would be so emotional about it, which he was, but it was okay. But it was great. He did a great job. James is a great artist. I mean, it's just amazing. We have these guys that work for us for free that are just some of the most amazing people in their field. It blows my mind that, guys like James Shields are willing to do stuff for me.
Well, we have people standing in line to help us. The Barshes have offered to help. Again, with a module, we've had people say, if there's anything we can donate. I know Mike's gotten a lot of donations, and I'm not going to try to mention all the names because he knows them all. And so, but I mean, people are stepping up to help, and we really, really appreciate it. I know maybe, you people say that a lot. But we really do. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's just something about the con that people that go there feel. I mean, for years, we wanted to have some special releases at the con digest, and so Doug called Peter Karsten, who I bet everybody in the gaming community had forgotten who he was, and just outright asked him, "Can I have permission to print the We Warriors stuff at the con?" And Peter Karsten was sure, and so we published Palace of the Vampire Queen for the first time in 40 years, Misty Isles, Dwarven Glory in digest form, and people went nuts. They thought it was crazy, but Peter's like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing anything with it, and Doug's a nice guy, and he called and asked, so sure, you can publish it. And through the years, we've had a lot of people just give us stuff and say, hey, I mean, some of the most popular things we ever did, one of the most popular things we ever did was the module B2.5, Caves of the Unknown, and that was Tom Wilson was looking for something to publish, and he remembered that Charlie Phipps had drawn this really cool map, and I knew exactly what he was talking about because Charlie had published it, or not published it. He put it up on Dragon's Trove, and he said, I wonder if Charlie would let me write an adventure around that map. And so he calls up Charlie, and Charlie's like, yeah, I already wrote one. I wrote one years ago. I never published it. And Tom's like, well, have you heard about North Texas? And I know Charlie through Jason Bronkowski, or as Jason Brown, but now it's Bronkowski. I knew him through there, and he goes, oh, I know who Mike is. Yeah, publish it for free. It's just whatever you want for free. And so Tom and I each wrote a new chapter onto it to give it some new material. And that's about to go into its third printing. We had the first printing, I think, was 250, 300. Second printing was 150. So we've sold like 400 of those, which is amazing. I mean, at the convention. And that was just something that was given to us by somebody who said, yeah, I'd love to help these guys out. And so we've greatly benefited by the fact that that gamers as a whole are good people, but especially old school gamers that come to our con.
Yep.
And so a couple of things. One of the reasons we just kind of had Gary on out of the blue. Normally we would have pimped his talk here and we probably would have had him on longer, but we wanted to talk about a lot of things we've done this week because if you're interested in going to the con, it's kind of like all systems go, isn't it, Gary? We've got the tabletop events is up. You can register for the con. You can register for games. The website should be up soon. We're hoping to get merch up pretty quick here. So everything's rolling along. In the next couple of weeks, we should be pretty much ready to go, fully ready to go.
So the website is on Tabletop. Obviously, Facebook, Discord are up. Tabletop is pretty much up. You can register. You can sign up for games. You can submit games. I have to approve them and then basically re-add them into the list so I can get them in the right time slots and so forth. And that's just a maintenance thing, but I'll try to do that as fast as I can as they get submitted. I have to generate all the special guest badges that you just submitted so I can get all that done. But I have to, my goal is to have all that done by the weekend so that people can submit games over the weekend. I can start approving them and we can go from there. One of the things too was pre-sale tickets where we do the half of the seats are available for $5 type thing. I plan to turn that on this weekend as well, so that once the games start getting listed, people can do that if they want to. And we will go ahead and I will try to have merchandise up by no later than the end of next week. I have reached out to a local t-shirt vendor as we talked about, and so
great good deal.
And so that hopefully that will be. And one of the changes that will be different from prior years is t-shirt sales will be active longer. So Doug used to cut them off around the 1st of April or at the 15th, somewhere around that neighborhood. And I'm going to let them go at least until May 1st. And
can I jump in here just for fun?
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
So, I had, because Gary knows this, I had t-shirt wars with Doug for probably 10 years.
T-shirt wars? Yeah, that's an understatement.
Doug's philosophy was that nobody wants a t-shirt until the con, and then after the con, nobody cares. And mine was, but sometimes people do. And so his thought was nobody's going to buy a t-shirt if the con's over. I'm like, well, that's not true. People buy stuff all the time for whatever reason. And so he would not have t-shirts at the con. He says, well, you can't guess sizes very good, and I don't want a bunch of leftover t-shirts. I'm like, we'll eventually sell them. Everything eventually sells. It just does. Everybody, because look, in 3 or 4 years, that t-shirt's a classic t-shirt and somebody buys it. Yeah. So like, hey, I don't have a t-shirt. So Doug didn't believe in that. So one year I just got so frustrated. I said, okay, do I have your permission that I can sell t-shirts on my own? Okay, yeah, go ahead. You're going to lose all your money, but go ahead, do whatever you want.
I buy like, so yeah, yes. I remember that discussion because this is funny. So he said, do I have permission? And Doug's first response was no. And then they go back and forth. And I was in the warehouse when this was all happening. And they're going back and forth. And finally, Doug goes, well, fine. Just go ahead. You're going to lose all your money. And it's typical, whatever. And Mike's like, fine, I'll show you.
And so I buy like 25 T-shirts, for whatever. And the con comes, I sell all 25 T-shirts for like $30 a piece, So I make $600-$700, and Doug's like, "Well, is the con going to get half that?" I'm like, "Fuck no!" Like, you told me that I couldn't sell half the T-shirt. Couldn't sell these T-shirts. No, this is my money, dude. I'm keeping this money because you made a point of saying I would never sell a T-shirt. I sold every single one of them. Oh, but that was great.
But we are going to take T-shirt orders up front because we do want to make sure we try to get sizes. I'm not going to probably do very many spec T-shirts that are just available. But we are going to leave T-shirt sales open longer so that people will have an opportunity to get the orders, because a lot of people will say, well, I missed the cutoff. Can I get one now? That was the most common thing I get at registration is, and so you can't.
What would Doug say? What would Doug say when they said that?
No.
Yeah, no explanation. Just
no.
You're not going to get a shirt. But I just missed it by one day. No. You don't get a T-shirt. No T-shirt for you.
I got money.
No.
Oh, money. He didn't care about money.
Yeah. I don't need your money.
Stories about that. Yeah, he didn't care. No, money is not important. He turned down a $200 sponsorship one year because the guy got his sponsorship in a day late.
One day.
One day late. And he said, nope, cutoff was April 30th, but I'm just one day late. Yep, you're late. That's the most important part of that sentence. And we just lost $200 because, nope, you were late, brother.
So anyway, I do think we need to have cutoffs because they are important for organization.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that more than most. But so we are going to do that, but you will not be able to get them, at the convention. But again, I'm going to try to have them up long enough. I mean, it'll be almost 70 days that they'll be up. If you can't get a shirt in 70 days, that seems like a problem. But
you need to get it before then. But and we've had so many calls over the years to have other merch like shirts, mugs, whatever. And a lot of it was because Doug at one point did have some merch up, but Doug got sick at a certain point, and for the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't had merch sales up. So we've had requests like, hey, if y'all would if you'd sell a coffee mug, I'd buy a coffee mug. Or if you had a T-shirt or not a T-shirt, but a gimme cap or, anything, a tote bag, I would buy it. And another thing that Doug would do is he would only put the only logo he ever sold was the first year logo. He would never sell any of the other or put logos on merchandise, which I always thought, why not just put Janelle did some beautiful logos for us over the years. Now, he eventually did the 10th anniversary. I want to say one of Terry Pavlitz's logos went on the 10th anniversary dice bag. Mm-hmm. So he did do a little bit of merchandising, but he just, once he got sick, that's one thing he just didn't do. So we're going to try to bring that back because we do have a lot of people ask for merch. And that's a great way for a con to make money. It just is.
Yeah. We're going to have all of that stuff listed, things like mouse pads and mugs and so forth. And to Mike's point, all of the merch on this year's merch page on the tabletop is going to be with this year's logo on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yes, it's instead of the second or whatever.
It's going to be this year's logo. So if you want a mug with this year's logo on it, you can get one.
We've talked about in the future we may, for limited times or something, put an old logo on. And that's actually kind of a cool limited idea to do. Like, hey, for a week we're going to have Janelle's year 7 logo. We may do that.
Whichever,
we're not making it out of the question because. Some of those logos, people, we only had 100 people come to the convention, and so there's probably 20 shirts out there with that logo, and that's it. Nobody else has that logo. We've actually been very popular over the years whenever we have an auction, and I find an old shirt in the warehouse, nobody's name on it from like Convention 6. Those usually sell for about $50 to $100 in the auction because nobody bought that stuff back then. A lot of people, people that came to the con.
And people bid on them even with other people's names on them.
Well, yeah.
Because they want the front part. I mean, that or they want to rob a bank. So,
or they want to have Rob Kuntz's name on the back of their shirt as they go to a strip club.
Why?
Somebody will. Yeah, somebody will.
I could be Rob Kuntz at the con. Do you smell enough like cigarettes?
One of the biggest hits is one of the biggest hits a couple years ago. Doug was cleaning out stuff, and Doug brought all his old T-shirts up because whatever you can do with these, do something with them. I'm like, oh, I can do something with these, and so we auction them. We would auction them at the midnight auction. So a T-shirt with Doug's name on the back, and Satan would very helpfully tell you what you could use that shirt for with Doug's name on the back, and that always brought down the house because Satan had some. He had some, strip bars, S&M clubs, shoplifting. I mean, whatever, And so, we always got a kick. And the great thing about Doug is he got a kick out of that stuff too. Nobody had more fun at the midnight auction or at the, or just even at the con than Doug. And Doug loved just to sit behind the counter and see people when they came in. I mean, he loved it. That's what he loved doing, is sitting behind the front desk, and people came in, he talked to everybody there. And And he had as much fun as anybody there, just doing his thing. And I was really glad the last years he would run games, because the very beginning he wouldn't run any games because he said, well, I'm just too busy, I can't run games. And he started running games the last few years, and like a lot of games, not just like one game, because he would always run the charity game every year. He was running like 2 or 3 games there. Just and he just loved. He kind of got his love for running D&D games back, and he would just sit there and all his players had a great time. They all had a great time.
And talking about that, so Doug always sponsored the charity game. This year, David is going to sponsor the charity game, which is going to be awesome. I think that's so cool. It's personal for me, but I think that's going to be so awesome.
You mean David's going to run the game, not sponsor?
Yes, David's going to run the game, and that is, I think that's phenomenal. It's awesome.
I think that's really great.
But somebody posted something on Facebook a couple weeks ago about, well, are there any games on Sunday? And I'm like, yeah, most of them were Doug's, because by God, we're going to keep this place running till 5. The con stops at 5. We're like at the truck half loaded, and Doug's like, don't pack that up yet. We're not done. And so
that's true. Absolutely true. Yes.
So, but yes, we will have games on Sunday. So.
And the problem with Sunday games is, and Doug and I found this out because we first started running the con. I'd been to a lot of cons, and it always cracks me up because Doug had never been to a game con ever, and I had been to game and comic book cons back since like 1980. So I knew what I liked and didn't like, but even then, I didn't know that the problem with Sunday gaming is everybody is worn out, and so you have a Sunday game. I think it was the second year we had the con. Nobody was showing up for anybody's Sunday game. It's because they all had hangovers from Saturday night, and they weren't getting up. And we had games with 10 people signed up for that. One person would straggle in like an hour late with hangover eyes, and so we learned quickly that Sunday is probably not a great. We would tell people that's not a great day to run a game. Especially in the morning. If you're going to run one in the morning, it's going to be really rough. Yeah. But we've had some
people haven't gone to bed till 5, so in the morning.
Oh God, especially Saturday night. Yeah. We've had better success the last few years though, because I think we've got a lot more family that come now. We got kids and stuff, so we've actually had a lot more success with Sunday games the last couple of years than we did the first couple of years. And then a lot of us are getting older too. We can drink 2 beers and fall asleep. So that's
whiskeys now, Mike. Whiskeys now. By the way, Bob is suggesting shot glasses.
I saw that actually.
That's a great idea.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
But no, so if you read the thing though, it's all logos from Con 1 on. I kind of that's kind of a cool thing. We could do it as a box set.
Yeah, no, if you did it, I'll tell you right now, you do it as a box set. I'm in probably for at least 2. I would have one for myself. I would donate one to my local pub. So just so you break out the special shot glass.
You know what? I'm gonna check on that. That's something.
We've done some. So one year we auctioned every one of every shirt we'd ever had. Doug reprinted them all through Zazzle, and that went for a pretty good price. And then another year we did every dice bag we'd ever had. Yeah. And I think those were all original. I don't think those were reprints. I think Doug had
no, they were not. Those were the originals, and he had packaged them up.
Yeah. And so that did really well too. And then another year we did every program, which Bill Meinhardt won because he's Bill Meinhardt. He wants the history of everything. So he got every program. So we do things like that every once in a while. Yeah. And so shot glasses sounds like a great addition to that. That sounds like a good idea to make one shot glass for every with every logo on. I love that idea. No whisk. We're not going to give you anything to put in the shot glass. That's all.
No. But some assembly required. We're not going.
But maybe if you get lucky, you could get into the unofficial whiskey tasting like we did this past year. That was a fun.
Oh, that was fun. We had that. That's going to be a standard, I hope, because we had a lot of fun doing that.
Yep.
That's going to be every year.
So
we started that a few years ago with. It wasn't just whiskey. It was us drinking that awful liquor that
God,
Chris Dodge bought.
Four loops or some crap like that.
I've still got the bag of it right here that he drank.
Mike! Oh God!
So what was funny about that is you all had this whiskey tasting thing going on, and Mike tells me about it, and I'm like, I had no idea what's going on. I'm over here working at the desk, and y'all are drinking. I was like, what the heck? Nobody told me anything.
Yeah, it did as a live stream. It was special.
Yep, it's good to be in the loop.
Well, you'll be in the loop. You'll be in the loop this time. You'll be invited. You know, we want you and Mike intoxicated at the same time,
Oh
and
Lord.
that's when we'll make sure the problem happens.
So
I'm going to drink much less. Yeah.
So I have a funny story about that too. So the first the first 8 conventions that I went to, I didn't drink. I was very I mean I made a point not to drink, and I was because I was trying to help Doug. We were, busy. We were on the radio. We were trying to get stuff done, and it was all business, and I was trying to, for Doug's sake, I was trying to keep it professional. The 9th convention, I don't remember how this happened, but it was a Friday night. Oh, I know what happened. It's Bill Barsh's
Matt
fault.
Roberts? Did Matt Roberts?
And Matt Roberts, yeah. So
Yeah.
we had BattleTech team meetings in the bar. So you play around, then you have a team meeting in the bar, and then you play around, you have a team meeting in the bar. And by the time that had happened, I was pretty looped in the bar. Well, it got to be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and Mike says, well, I'm going to go. He's heading to the elevators to go to bed, and here comes Brian. And Brian comes around the corner. He goes, hey, Gary's drunk in the bar. You ought to go see this. And Mike goes, you know what? I'm going to go see this.
I was going to go party with Stephen Porcorny.
That's right.
Gary drunk in the bar is better than that. I can see Stephen Porcorny any day. I can't see Gary drunk in the bar. That was, and it was fun. That was fun.
We had a good time.
Yeah, we did. We have a good time every year, but that was really good.
Damn you, trouble.
And now I don't know, but I kind of regret missing the Stephen Porcorny party now. God knows what went on there. So, but yeah,
But then you'd have to sign an NDA or something like that because it's like what happened at Stephen Porcorny party stays at a Stephen Porcorny party.
If only that happened. That's true. No, really. No, Stefan's great. And I had talked to Stefan at Game Hole, and he told me he's coming back. And I haven't talked to him since then. I hope he still remembers. I hope he wasn't too drunk that night. But he has a great setup. He goes in and we give him a room next to one of the little meeting rooms, and he sets the whole thing up with his Dwarven Forge stuff. It's awesome. Takes him a whole day. So his games that are up there are usually really highly hotly contested to get into them because you get to play in a Stephen Porcorny dungeon, which is just
it was impressive.
Giant Dwarven Forge thing. And sometimes he brings stuff that's not even commercially available. It's just stuff that Stefan has because he's worked, he's Dwarven Forge basically. So he does a great job. He loves coming to the con too. He loves any con that lets him have his own room and his own stuff to set up. That's great for him. So he's a fun guy too.
He is
unique.
But
yeah, we had I got it. So just to put this in perspective too, I get a call this morning. It woke me up. It was Gary saying, "Where the hell are the special guest lists? I don't have them yet." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've been blowing that off." I'm a procrastinator, but just so happens
I waited till 10:15 to call.
Oh, you did. You waited,
and I'm like,
"My fault. I'm still asleep."
We're done. I got to get this going. What's the status? He's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Really?"
But luckily, the day before, I had been hitting the wire, and I got a lot of last minute guests. That just because they're last minute didn't mean they were bad guests. Just means I just got around to them. So yesterday I was able to talk to Matt Finch and confirm him, Janelle Jaquays and Rebecca Heineman. Who else? I had a few others that I finally said I just need to talk to these people because I haven't talked to them yet. I have a couple of maybes too that didn't get back to me yet, so we'll see. Jeff Grubb was a maybe, and we've been trying to have Jeff Grubb back for years. It's weird because Doug and they talked on the phone all the time because Jeff Grubb was one of the judges for the last 2-3 Castles Award, and apparently he and Doug would talk a lot online, which it's kind of weird to me. But he hasn't been to I think he only came to the con once. It was about 5 years ago, but apparently he still has really good memories of the con. So we'll try to get him back someday. Errol was the only other guy that couldn't come, and that was just circumstances that. He doesn't like to fly at all, doesn't like to travel, and he's going to Game Hole Con this year, and apparently, according to Errol, the flight's a beating. It's going to be a beating of a flight, and he's not looking forward to it. There's going to be a 5-hour layover somewhere. Oh. I mean, it's just all he's going to have to get up at 5 a.m., just everything, and I don't like to fly either, so I know when I do fly, which is very seldomly, I want to make sure everything is exactly right and not, no 5-hour layovers, no getting up at 5 a.m. I want it to be a pleasant experience. And I think he was just overwhelmed, Errol was, by the fact that this is not going to be a pleasant experience. And I told him if he came to our con, we would make it a pleasant experience because we're not going to make him get up at 5 a.m. The man's a genius. Don't be getting him up at 5 a.m. to get on a flight. So we'll see. But yeah, so I got the list together, and then just everything started falling into place, and the website thing worked out, and I'm just really excited because everything we used to do for the con is this is going to be that plus better, because I really think that some of the stuff that Gary and I and David are doing this year, I think that's going to help us make more money. I just think it's going to be better for the con. I think it's going to make the con better. I'm just very excited. I'm really excited about this year. It's going to be a great year because, it's, even though Doug wasn't there last year, this is the first year really without Doug, even though he wasn't at the con. He wasn't at the con last year, but he was overlooking the con because he was in the hospital and he wasn't
there, but he directed a great deal of it remotely from the days before he actually had his surgery. So, I mean, there was a lot of that was still kind of pre-programmed by him ahead of time. But no, I think it's, again, David and Mike and I all have a heart to keep it what it is. And so, but in doing so, we want to make it better what it is. Yeah, in every so, North Texas just more, and so we just want it to be better. We want to have the merchandise be available for people. We want to have more food trucks. We want to have, I mean, there's just things that, we're going to go talk to the hotel, and I'm going to make sure they understand how the bar thing works. I had to explain that to them last year and they made a fortune. But, and so,
gaming con, you don't close your bar at 9 o'clock.
No.
But
I told them I had been in the hotel business before, and I said, look, I'm just telling you, you're missing an opportunity. And the hotel manager's like, oh, okay, well, we'll keep it open till 1 then. I said, okay, well, you're missing out. This was on Thursday. I saw him in the halls on Friday, and I said, how'd you do? We stayed up until 2. We made $3,000. I said, there you go. And so I said, don't argue with me on this. I'm telling you. And they cleaned up, and so hopefully, that kind of experience with the same guy, he'll say, oh yeah, that's a true statement. We need to do that. But again, we just want it to be fun. We just want people to be the kind of the homecoming, family reunion. I can't wait to play my game. I can't wait to be in that game. I can't wait to game with those people event. And it's been that way. We want to keep it that way. And
this is going to be a big year too, because I think it's going to be a very emotional year because anything we do, because last year we did a lot of stuff. We had to update people on Doug's health. How's Doug doing? And Gary and I really didn't know a lot. I mean, we knew what had happened to him, but we didn't know what was going to happen or what was going to go on with that. And so a lot of people were just asking us questions we couldn't really answer. And this year, it's not going to say it's a relief, but it's more like, okay, this has happened. So, what are we going to do? Let's go along with it. It's going to be very emotional. It'll be very emotional for me because, he's not going to be there for some stuff, And like I was talking about the midnight auction, Doug didn't like the idea for the midnight auction, or he didn't. And I remember asking him once, why did you let me do it? And his reply was, because you wanted it so bad, I had to give it to you because he could tell that was something I really wanted to do. And then once he saw it, of course, Doug loved it. He was like, oh,
he was one of the biggest fans. He was the first one to say he didn't think it was a good idea, but he knew Mike wanted to do it. And he was also ended up being the biggest fan. So, yeah, I mean,
because the second year he has the serving girls come up in naughty devil 90s in the middle of the auction. So I knew at that point he got it. He knew what he got it. He was like, okay, you know what this is all about. This is not serious. This is not a serious auction. And he would always just sit there and laugh the whole time. He would just be sitting up front and he'd laugh. And I was so happy last year to see Gary doing the same. Gary was sitting up there with me doing the same thing. He was just laughing the whole time. And that's what I want. And that's what I'll miss, things like that, So it's going to be an emotional year, and I think it's going to be, but we're going to have so much fun. It's going to be great because, I mean, and this sounds so trite to say it, but Doug's in a better place now. And he had a rough last 5 years. It was rough.
Right.
And Gary and I experienced a lot of that with him. And it's tough to see your friend sick all the time. It just
last year was terrible. The last year was terrible. And he's a force of nature. He overcame a lot.
He's
he
a
was
tough
having a hard
guy,
time.
really
He was
tough.
having a hard time on that trip to Wisconsin, but nobody knew it but me. But because he's just not going to let people see that. But and Mike's right. It's going to be emotional. I think one of the things I'm really going to have to focus on is really trying to, for lack of a better term, put on my game face and stay constant and consistent, and not let things get to me because of the timing or the situation or whatever. Like Mike said, there's going to be a situation where you're going to be doing something and turn around like you were at, hey, what do you think? And he's not going to be there. And so, Mike and I and David in particular are going to have a hard time in some of those instances, but we don't want to. I want this to be fun. I want everybody to have the best time they've ever had, because at the end of the day, that's what he would have wanted. People sitting around crying, he'd be slapping them in the head, going, "Stop! You guys are not having fun," and it's just, that's not how he would want it. So we've got to. That's the other thing too, is I really want to drive that home with people. Is, when you're playing Gladiator, do it like Doug would do it. Have fun with it. If you're racing chariots, be a pain. Do what Doug would do. Just roll sixes.
Now don't
crash.
do Doug's Gladiator strategy, because it only ever worked for Doug, and it worked every freaking time for Doug. But nobody else wins by putting all their points in attack and attacking. But Doug did. He won trophies doing that for some reason. I don't know.
So,
but play the game like Doug would want to. Put all your points in attack and just go with Gladiator.
But attend the convention. Attend the convention the way Doug would want you to. Come, have fun, visit with friends, reunite with people. Just sit up late, tell war stories, and just have fun. And I just really want I want everybody that is listening to and that knows the convention to understand that the convention is going to go. This isn't the last year. It's going to go on until one of us is dead. It's going to keep going, and
probably all of us are going to dead, and probably they will still go. So
because I'm actually we're creating a corporate structure for it. I mean, there's a lot of other things behind the scenes that are happening, but this thing is going to keep going, and we're going to keep moving forward, and we're gonna make this the best it can be. And everybody, I hear a lot of people tell me all the time, North Texas is my favorite convention. Great. I want that to continue to be the same across. I want everybody to still think this is their favorite convention. And, love Doug like a brother.
That's a good point.
But we can't sit around and cry about it either. I want him to, he would not want that. He wants people to have fun.
It's a living memorial.
But Bob, that's a good question. Bob asked a good question there. And here's the thing. So I didn't really get this until I started running a convention. Everybody wants to help you, which is great, and they're very sincere about helping you. But when it comes down to it, there's not a lot they can do. And you think about it, most of the con stuff involved is stuff that myself or Gary or David know where something goes or what to do with it. And you can't really help with that. The big things people help with that we appreciate is unloading the trucks and loading the truck. But those only take like 30 minutes. So after that's done,
what
am I going to help with?
Especially when you have a lot of help. I think we had 15 people help unload the truck, and we were done in 8 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, it was something stupid.
It was
and it's
great.
Just like, okay, thank you, appreciate it.
And we used to unload
we'd
it.
spend
Gary
hours.
and Doug ourselves. Oh my God, it was so awful. And so that helps a lot. But the main thing, if you want to help with something, is so this is what I tell people. So if you've been to the con before and you see somebody has an issue, help them, because one thing that Gary and I and David we don't have enough of in a convention is time or our attention. We're usually involved in something. And I've had that time when I've been up at the table and I'm ringing up a sale and somebody's asked me a question here and somebody's asked me a question here. And a guy's walking up there wanting to know where this is. And a guy over here saying, how much is this? And you're just like, you're overwhelmed. If you see somebody there that doesn't know how something works, where to go, help them out. Say, look, hey, what do you need? Well, I don't know where such and such room is. Let me take you there, or I'll tell you where it's at, or I'll show you this, and that's the kind of help that would be great. That we can't even, this is something we can't even reward you for, but that's the kind of thing that helps.
Exactly.
That and just do the regular things you do at a con. Spend money at a con. Help the vendors out. Help us out. Buy. We're going to have at least one, maybe actually more than one. We're going to have at least 2 or 3 what they call con modules or con adventures. The one that Tom Wilson did is like 64 freaking pages long. I mean, it's going to be a thick ass source book, and it's going to be great. Buy those. That helps us. All that money helps, man. We don't. I mean, we're doing okay with the con, but every cent helps. It really does. It helps us build a war chest for years to come, because this is something we're going to keep building on. Doug would finance the con out of his own pocket, which is just something he wanted to do, but it's not feasible for most people to do that.
Right.
You usually try to make money at a con, try to put some aside. That way you have, a little more next year, and then by the time you do it 25 years, you're like Dragon Con. You have $1 million or whatever because you've been sticking your money aside. I don't think we're going to have $1 million, Gary. But anyway, but that's the kind of thing. Just that's how you can help us.
Also,
just
to
things
Mike's
like
point,
that.
if you see the confused guy walking up to the table, intercept him before he gets there and say, "Hey, what do you?" Because every person that I have to, when I'm checking people in or whatever, every person I have to stop and give directions to is just one more thing I have to stop and do, which I'm glad to do. But everybody, especially the veterans, they've all been there. They know where the rooms are.
Right.
So, Mike's right. That those little things, and people say, well, that's nothing. That's inconsequential. No, it's not. That's very consequential.
Yeah.
You stack enough of those little things together, it becomes a big thing that we don't have to mess with.
Right. It makes it run smooth, and you don't have to worry about the behind the scenes, because people are taking care of in the front of the scenes. Matt Jackson, being an ass, by the way. What if you only know Eric and that's Eric Jason Hobbs? All right.
Oh, then that's all. If you only know those two people, you're in big trouble already.
Matt,
you need to get out more. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I know you're a little antisocial, but here's the thing. North Texas is like going home again. It's my home away from home. If I could only do one con a year, it would be North Texas, because Rach would probably beat the shit out of me if I told her we were never going back, because she loves the con as much, if not more, than I do. And it's not all because of the gaming. It's because of the people and getting to meet the people. I'd rather spend my day talking and eating and drinking and hanging out with other con goers than gaming, because as much as I like gaming, I enjoy the people that much more. This year I missed, the first year of COVID, had my own health issues, and I went back in June, and I was like, all these kids that I knew from all these years I've been going to North Texas grew 2 years instead of 1, and I didn't recognize Glenn's grandson. I was like, yeah, who's this young man? I went, oh wait, that's Gage. What the hell? But they become part of your extended family, and you don't even necessarily realize it until you don't see them for that extra gap we had because of COVID. So,
and my kids are taller than me now, and people say, "Oh my God, they can't be the little 3 and 4 year olds you brought the first time." I mean, because they were little when they first came, and they're like,
Jake's 18 this year, so
wow,
the con's been 14 years, so they would have been 4. He and Mason would have been 4 years old. When the con first started, and I don't think Jake came till he was about 6 or 7.
Same year Mason did.
And people can't believe it's the same kid behind my booth.
Well, and Jake and Mason are like con brothers. They are. They hook.
They're con troublemakers, is what
exactly.
They are. Wow, they're fine. They're individually, they're fine. When put together, they create a disaster. So they get up into trouble.
Well, it's funny because
it's great to have the family.
To Eric's point about family, though, so I'll give you another example. When the boys were little, 6 and 7, 7 and 8, took them to the convention, and my wife said, well, who's watching them when you're doing all this stuff? I said, there's 350 people watching those boys. I get calls on the radio. Hey, your boys are doing X. Fine, make them stop. Or John Lyle, I'll never forget this. He walks by me and goes, I just told your kids to quit running the hall. Good. Thank you. So, that's what that's the kind of experience we want to keep it as is. this is where the people that you trust with your kids are there, and you know that they're going to be watched. I mean, it's just a great thing. And we want to try to, I'm passionate about, I want this to be the same thing.
And I'll tell you what's like one example I think is great is that our serving witches, our serving girls, they love to come to this con. They don't have to do this con. They're professional women that do professional stuff.
They have real jobs.
We got them. I think Jessica started doing it about 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. Our first girl was Olivia. Olivia did it for a few years, and then we hired Jessica through a promotional source. Well, she doesn't even do that anymore. She doesn't do that. She works in an office and everything, but they still come every year. They love to come. She and Jamie love to come here. They don't have to do it. It's not, they're not still doing promotions. They're not waitresses anymore. I mean, they are, but they just love it. They love to come
because they love to see the people, and there's people that they cannot wait to see.
Mm-hmm. And they just have a blast too. And they're right there at the midnight auction every year, like front row. I mean, they love this stuff. And it was funny. One year we had, I think Jessica got 3 or 4 other girls to help her besides Jamie. And she was telling them, you have to go to the midnight auction. They're like, no, we're going to go to bed. They're like, no, she goes, you have to go to the midnight auctions. So, this room of it was like ultra nerdvana. These 4 very attractive ladies walk in, 4 or 5 attractive ladies walk in to sit near the front. Everybody's like, what? She was like so passionate. So passionate they had to see the midnight auction, and they laughed their asses off because it's funny. The midnight auction.
Well, and I remember telling Doug, we're gonna have to turn the hose on these guys. They're just, because they're like, oh my god,
where did they come from? Yeah, but that's just the kind of loyalty that the con engenders because everybody's like, once you're part of it, it's really hard to get away from it.
Well, and also too, like there's traditions that are con related traditions to kind of come up too, but are built into the camaraderie of the people. So, for example, the Fialco brothers, Ben and Jared, if they are their flights are coming in, I traditionally pick them up, and the first thing we do is I pick them up at the airport. We stop at the liquor store, and then we come to the convention. And so, same thing with Bill Barsh. I pick him up at the airport, and I stop at the liquor store. We come to the convention. So there's you got people you want to game with, but there's even little stuff like that. It's like that's the tradition. Matt Roberts showed up and he was like, "Is there a liquor store?" And I'll never forget. Doc Ben was like, started laughing. He goes, "He'll show you exactly where it is." So,
Bill brought up something I forgot about.
Oh yeah,
Jessica's birthday is the weekend of the con every year, and she comes to the con. That's her birthday. And also her family live in DFW, but it's just funny because she comes to the con for her birthday every year. Who would do that? Who does that? Nobody does that. Come on. But that's the kind of thing that we have going that everybody's like, I got to be part of this. And it's great to see so many people and these guys, like Matt Roberts. I've known Matt Roberts since the 90s online. He used to buy stuff from me online, but kind of keep in touch every once in a while. And then a few years ago, I'm like, you gotta come to the con. How come you're not coming to the con? And he came, and oh my God. He loves the con now, so much so that last year he's an art teacher and an artist himself. He made this beautiful poster of Satan in this really 60s crazy, a poster rock band style, and
album
just
cover
gave
type.
It to us. Yeah, here you go. And so we had it signed by all the special guests there as if they were like the rock bands appearing at a concert, and. We made a pretty penny off that, Gary. That was, we did okay selling that, and that was just something that was donated.
And Matt is one of my favorite people. I mean,
he's awesome.
He every time he sees me, and he's so tall, and I'm so short, and every time he sees me, he just gives me a big hug, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's just a great guy. I mean, he's just great people, and that's the whole point. There's hundreds of great people who come every year.
The same with Eric. I remember when Eric and Rachel first came. I think I don't remember what was your tipping point to come, but I'm pretty sure I asked you and said, you need to come. This is great. Well, and it took how long before Rachel was like, yeah, we're coming back every year.
What happened was you were on, I'm not sure if it was Save or Die or Roll for Initiative.
Probably Save or Die.
And I'm driving home from work and I'm listening to the cast. And I'm like, man, I really got to go to that con. Sounds really good. So I reach out to Joe the lawyer, who was a friend of mine up in Connecticut. And he's like, yeah, let's go. Because I figured there's no way in hell Rach wants to go to a gaming con. All right. There's no way. So Joe was all in, and then his kid. I think he had car issues. He had to put a huge amount of money into the car. He's like, dude, I can't go. So I'm like, crap. So I'm like, Rach, listen, I have the hotel room. I can book another ticket. She goes, why? I go, and she was like, oh, yeah, I'll go to the con, but she's already online looking up where she can go. I'll go to Grapevine. I'll get a cab. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'm like, fine. And we get there, and she plays in a game with Zach and Tim Schneider, and the next thing I know, it's Friday. Oh, and of course, Matt Finch, and then it's Friday evening, and Mike was nearby. I think he overheard it. We're coming back next year. I'm like, okay, we're coming back next year. I'm not going to take it from you. We're coming back. And I think Mike was like a witness to the conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is good. And she
was
gained.
yes.
She gained.
She had the best time. She was lucky. She played some good games though. So
yeah.
Because Tim Schneider.
Jen does a all girls game now.
Yeah,
has for a couple times.
Jen Green, Scooter's wife, does an all women's game on Sunday morning. And we got Jen. I didn't ever even ask the two Jens, Jen Green and Jen Glazer, to be my Devilettes. I never asked them. They just said, "Hey, guess what? We're going to dress up like devil chicks and be at your auction." I'm like, okay, let's do it. Sounds like a great idea. It's a great idea. Let's do it.
Because if you had asked, you would be that dirty old man. But by volunteering,
I wouldn't ask it.
You wouldn't. It's like
I would have asked ladies that old to be there. I would have asked younger ladies if it had been up to me. But wait, did I say that out loud? Oh, Jen's gone. Jen's not here. She's gone. She left. No.
Yeah, you said that part out loud.
Did I say that out loud? Oh shoot! I think Gary said that.
No, okay. Look, I'll take the fake bagel comments all day long, but I'm not going to stand up on these lies about faming with these girls on age and stuff. That ain't happening.
Not with the Jens. Oh, Jen Glazer, we had to audition. Jen, honey, we weren't supposed to talk about that online. Okay, that was a secret. Don't tell Zach either. Oh we had to audition.
An audition in the hotel room. What are you saying?
Oh, that just sounds wrong.
It was there was no casting couch there. It was.
Oh, okay.
They have the job until they pass away or until we decide to get younger at that position. They have that job.
Wow, twice he does this.
Jen, they know.
Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, this is the con where one of your hosts will abuse the con members. You see this? No. This is because it's all family. You bust on.
You can only treat your family this bad,
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's honestly that's really your good friends, your family. You bust on, right? Because it is done out of love,
right?
And that's really what North Texas. Again, North Texas is something special, and it has been special since the first year we went. And Rach gets excited. Even last year, because again, still technically in the world of COVID, Rachel's like, "I'm going to North Texas, right?" I'm like, "I plan to, yes." She was like, "Don't wait too long. Get our tickets. Get the whole. It might sell out." I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah, we sold out. We wouldn't let Eric or Rachel in. Nope.
Yeah,
sorry, we'd be like, no. Sorry, you too. Nope, you didn't buy tickets in time. That's what Doug would say. Oh, no, sorry,
no,
out of here.
Well,
your streak is ended. You're not coming.
My Doug story. I still remember going up to Doug, and I'm like, and Doug knew me by face at this point, and I'm like, we're there to get our badges, and he looks, he goes, "I don't see a badge." I go, "Oh, well, it's probably under my real last name, Stina." And he looks at me, he goes, "Why would you do that?" I go, "What?" He goes, "You're Tenkar." Yeah, I know, but you are. I go, just look under S and tell me if you own. He go, and he was annoyed at me.
Yep.
But in a Doug way of annoyance, because you weren't putting in the
shook the universe. You have a different last name.
How could you be so stupid? That's exactly. It was framed. I mean, and it wasn't like malevolent. I mean, he wasn't trying to be ugly about it. It's just, why would you do that? That's just dumb.
Yeah, that's like, I right. Next time I'll put myself in his Tenkar.
Oh.
He goes, well, then I'd find it. I'm like, yeah, all right. But then Rachel, Never mind. We'll just
Yeah, never mind.
Everybody's Tenkar.
And those
We're
are
all
the Dougisms we're not going to do this year.
Yeah.
Okay? So-
If you want to go under an assumed name, we're going to let you go under an assumed name. Just go. Please don't make it a dirty word. Other than that, yes, we'll be okay with that. So we were talking, and we're gonna try to have Gary on probably once a month, maybe for about well, he's already been on here an hour and a half. Who knew time would fly that much? And
I thought I was going to have nothing to say.
I thought you were going to be here 20 minutes and then go. What happened with that?
Like, these guys.
Starstruck over here. No. But yeah, so we're going to try to have him on to talk about the con because we're getting more and more stuff done. I'm really excited. And I guess a lot of it was the fact that for the last 2 years, I mean, Doug's been sick for 5 years, but the last 2 were really bad. And it was really hard for him to get stuff done. And I was just used the last few years to really everything just kind of crawling along. And then Doug would just rally himself the last month and really just get everything done. And it's been really a pleasure to get back to like, look, we're getting stuff done every week, every month, every day. There's something that gets done on the con. And that's a great feeling to have because it's just been so tough the last couple of years with Doug being so sick.
Well, and January is a bad month for me personally because of my jobs. The kind of work I do, January is a very, very crazy busy month for me. That's ended, and I've got it's kind of where I can start getting some stuff rolling too. So that's for people who've said, "Hey, what about this? Hey, when's this going to be up?" It's going to start rolling. I'm getting stuff out. We're getting stuff going. It'll start really rolling here now that I've gotten past kind of my busy stuff.
My keyboard died. That's something I would have been talking to Doug about. Doug, my keyboard died in the middle of the show. How do I fix it? Doug was always, I was like, really? I'm like trying to type something into the search bar, and I'm like,
did you unplug it?
Well, it's a charge.
Battery's dead.
I had to plug it in now, and now it works.
There you go.
Listen, I went with Apple because Apple won't fuck up on you. Then Apple still finds a way to fuck you. No warning. The keyboard's going to die. Just,
Doug was the guy who used to keep my stuff running, and I missed Doug this year when I got a virus on my computer. And Gary's like, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, thank God, because I don't know what I'm going to do without Doug here. Because anytime I had a computer problem, I would say, Doug, I don't understand what's you do fix it. Whatever it is, it's fixed. Yep. So I miss having Daddy Doug here to fix my computer because I don't know what's going on half the time. But Gary helped me out pretty well. So he was able to come here and fix that, luckily. But yeah, we miss him. We all miss him. For those who don't know too, I don't talk about this much on the show, but if you're on the North Texas, so we have a Facebook page, we have a Discord. We're going to finally have a website, but it's mostly going to be just here's all the information on the website. There's not going to be any forums or anything there. But for those who don't know, we also have an auction page on Facebook that I started this year. We have an auction every 2 weeks, and every single auction, no matter what it is, part of it goes to help out stuff. For instance, we have an auction of RPG items in the North Texas warehouse that belonged to the con last week, and we made almost $2,000, and that goes to the con funds. Whenever I have an auction of my personal stuff, I give 20% commission to the Doug Ray Memorial Fund, which is something we're going to be doing. Doug Ray Memorial Fund is going to help out gamers and designers, who have issues, problems, and that's something we're just going to stick money in there. And then whenever we have somebody has a problem, it's a part of the gaming community that we know that goes to that attends the con, we're going to help them out. And that's just because that's something Doug did all the time. And for those that don't know, Doug did so much behind the scenes. He has bought Tim Kask a new computer. He bought Michael Curtis a new computer. He would just, if somebody had a problem, he would just deal with it by buying whatever it was. Okay, you have an issue. Steve Perrin called him about something once. He bought Steve. I mean, he just did stuff.
He also supported tens of thousands of dollars worth of Kickstarters for people.
Yes.
Maximum
levels. He loved Lloyd Metcalf. Whenever Lloyd would run a Kickstarter, highest level, boom. He would. And Lloyd knew that at a certain point. He's like, basically, this is Doug's level. He would call it Doug's level. Here's the Doug level. And Ben Burns, he always supported Ben Burns Kickstarters, highest level, whatever. We have 10,000 freaking Ben Burns games in the warehouse because Doug would buy so many of them for Kickstarter. We still got like 2 cases of Monster Trap, Gary. They're sitting in the warehouse because he just loved that stuff. And so the Doug Ray Memorial Fund, when it really gets rolling, will be something that is used to help gamers out that maybe can't afford to go to the con, or they come to the con and they've got 3 kids, and you start doing the math in your head. And one of the things that Gary and I made official this year, and I'm glad Gary was exactly on the same boat as I was. Are the kids under what age are free now? Is it 12?
Under 12.
12. Kids 12 and under are free. Which is something that was unofficial policy up until then. Doug would always let kids in for free, but it's official now. So if you have 3 kids and they're 8, 9, and 10, don't worry about spending a ton of money. You can come and just buy your own ticket. And
if you have 8 kids and they're 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14, let me know, and I'll probably just go ahead and do the 13, 14 as well.
We'll still help you. The money will come out of the Doug Ray Memorial Fund for help you out. And like I said, gamers that also a lot of these older guys, I know last year before Steve Perrin passed away, and I really like Steve a lot because he really wanted to come in 2020. He couldn't because of COVID. He wanted to come in 2021, but his wife got sick, and then very sadly, Steve, passed away in August actually right before Doug did, and he passed away, and so he didn't get to come to our last 2 cons. He really loved coming to the con. But he had a GoFundMe for his wife because his wife was put into a hospice. And a lot of these game designers don't have insurance. A lot of them don't have savings, really. If you're on Facebook, you've seen that Jim Ward has a Patreon now, and he's had GoFundMes because he doesn't have insurance. A lot of those guys need help with stuff. They really do. They just, and I know, like I said, I know Doug helped out Steve Perrin specifically with some stuff once. And I'm sure that if Doug had been around, he would have put money into Steve's wife's hospice care, because that's just kind of thing he liked to back. Well, with the Doug Ray Memorial Fund, we'll be able to do things like that. If we see a fund like that, we'll be able to put some money into it. And it's on behalf of Doug Ray. So, and I just know that's something he would have wanted to do, because that's something he did all the time. And he didn't toot his own horn. So much of the stuff happened behind the scenes. It's unbelievable. He just did. He would just do things, and he wouldn't worry about getting any credit for it.
Not at all. And I told Mike, so one of the things that happened after Doug's passing is I took over running his company, but also David and I had to clean out the offices and move some computers around and so forth. But as we were going through things and these stacks of papers and various things, we found some funny stuff that was comical, and that's a whole separate issue. But one of the things I told Mike I found was a check. From 7 years ago. Who was it? Who did I tell you the check was from?
Dennis Astaire.
Dennis Astaire. He had written Doug like a $300 check to pay him back for travel or something. I don't know. And Doug never cashed it. It was just sitting in this space, 7 years old. And so that's just how he was. He just and Mike's right. He never made a big deal about it. He gave money to the Cancer Society for kids. He did. Doug used to take about $2,000 cash a year, and at Christmas time, and just go around and hand money to people out on the street.
That's a real famous story. He would get $3,000 in hundreds.
Yeah,
and I was with him on one of his runs. He would go to every place he went during the year, his haircut place, his favorite restaurants, just whoever, and he would give them $100 tip, and that's just what he did every Christmas.
Throughout the gaming community, it's the same thing. He would back Kickstarters and not make a big deal about it. He would send people computers or money and he never made a big deal about it, and people just didn't know. Now, when we had what was the Zoom thing we did soon after, when we had all those guests come on? Remember, it was you, me, and David, and
that was on Skeeter's. That was on the GDZ show.
Right. Okay. But then one of the things that really struck home for me was a lot of people talked about. I mean, the recurring theme was how generous Doug was, but it was funny because up until that point, that's not something people talked about much. But then it becomes the recurring theme of how he was just the most generous guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, like I said, the Doug Ray Memorial Fund that'll continue that. That's just something that we're all going to be able to use to reward or help out people that have issues. And these, like I said, these old guys, if they break I mean, the thing about Doug was if Tim Cass screwed his computer up, Doug could just make him one. Doug would just make him a computer and send it to him like, here you go. Gary and I really can't do that, or we don't have time to do it. And so it's, if something happens where we can help out one of these old guys, we will. But the Doug Ray Memorial Fund will help us, be able to do that. So.
Right now, let's answer Bill's question before Bill Barsh asks the question. Yes, soon you'll be able to sponsor these Wednesday night episodes. We'll work out the logistics, and the money will go toward con-related expenses with the Memorial Fund. It's not going to go to me. It's not going to go to Mike. Gary's not going to pocket it. It's going to go to the convention, and it's going to be done basically in Doug's name.
Right.
That's why it's really. I mean, I got as deep as I did into gaming because of North Texas RPG Con. I've made my true face-to-face friendships with people that I got to meet online, and then I got to cement it by gaming or talking over drinks or in a hallway out in the smoking deck, even though I don't smoke. But this is where you make your connections, and I owe a lot. So.
Well, as we've been talking, the website has been more updated. He just finished the Discord links and a couple other things. So,
by the way, the guy helping us, Jared Nielsen.
Jared, yeah.
And once again, just a super fan of ours, or super good guy. He comes to the con every year, and hey, can I help you? And that's, like I said, that's the one way to help us. Set the website up. Great, do it, baby. And that's that's the kind of help that we look for. That if somebody wants to help us out, that's I mean, I'll tell you what, the weirdest things I told people one year, and we did not have a board game library. We had like 2 board games. And I said, it'd be great if we really had a board game library, and I had about 15 people send us a game. Everything from Risk, just a Risk game, to like Twilight Imperium. Somebody sent us Twilight Imperium, which, by the way, Gary, we're probably going to sell this year because nobody's going to play Twilight Imperium at the con. It takes like 6 hours to set up, and 8 hours to play, and then 4 hours to break down. So we may be auctioning that one this year, folks. I don't think it's going to get used, but that was just the kind of thing. Like, look, if you want to help us, donate a board game, And I tell people every year, and we get donations every year. We get crazy stuff. I'm just like, look, if you have anything you want to get rid of, bring it to the con. It'll be auctioned somewhere. And we've got, I know Steve Marsh gave me stacks of historical books at times. One guy gave me a whole bunch of comics. Just games. One guy just gave me his whole D&D collection, but it wasn't good. It was beat up stuff, but who cares? We put it in a lot, we auction it off, and that's money for the con. If you have anything like that, we had a guy, oh gosh, I can't remember who it was. The guy donated all the Witch Mountain games. There's a guy who bought a storage facility, one of those.
I still think
things.
we should do the Oprah thing with that.
There's about 100 copies of this board game from the 80s called Witch Mountain. That's an absolutely terrible game, but now we have like 100 copies of it. So last year we managed to sell a whole lot at the midnight auction because I pulled a prank on everybody. But other than that, just anything like that helps. So if you want to donate anything, just let me know. You can.
I'm going to say something that Mike won't say. Yes, anything you want to donate, we will take. Anything you want to help with, we'd love the help. We take website help, whatever. But I'm going to say this because Mike won't. If you want to write us a check or send me PayPal money for the con too, we will take the money. So now we would rather you sponsor a room, sponsor a shift of the winches with the shirts or something, whatever, something like that. But if you just want to give $100 or give $10 or do whatever, we'll take that too. So Mike won't say that, but I will.
I'm not, I mean, I guess I won't. But I don't like asking people for money for stuff like that. I mean, my whole thing is, look, if you want to give us money, we'll take money. Doug would never take money, never under any circumstances.
I know that.
Gary and I aren't that proud. You want to give us money because we realize you want, you mean well, and we'll take money. But I will never ask for money. If that's something,
we're not.
I'd rather you have something. I'd rather you get something for your money. Buy some digest,
buy
some
a shirt,
North Texas Digest, buy a shirt, buy 3 shirts, buy a shirt for everybody in your family,
all of that stuff,
so
and that's what that's fine. But to Mike's point, Doug would never ask, and I'm not asking for money, and I wouldn't ask for money either. I would rather you get something for it as well. But the other side of it too, and Mike and I have had this discussion, I don't think Doug fully understood that when people offer to help, one of the things that they're doing is they are trying to, they're doing it for themselves, and there's some edification for themselves in that act. And if you take that away from them by saying no, you're hurting them. And so we want people to feel like that they're helping, they're contributing, and we appreciate it. I want people to know I will never be able to say it enough. I will never be able to write enough thank you notes. I'll never be able to do enough to tell people how very, very much and how very, very grateful I am that everybody has offered to help as much as they have.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We appreciate everything, really. And that's one of the reasons we're going to be able to keep this thing going as long, hopefully, as long as we can, as long as we're still in there kicking. I'm almost 60 years old. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, but we'll see. I guess we'll see. As long as the whiskey lasts.
That's right.
Whiskey,
there you go.
As long as we still have whiskey tasting, I'll be coming. So,
like I said, I mean, North Texas is my home away from home. So anything I can do to help. Mike knows when all this stuff with Doug started looking better. The first thing, and I'm sure everybody else was doing this, was like, Mike, what can I do? What if I'm needed? I was even like, listen, I'm retired. If I need to come out, a week before the con, if you guys needed extra hands-on stuff, I could do it. My cat and dog would be upset, but they'll have my parents, so they'll be okay. But because you take what blessings you have, you want to share it, and I think North Texas is a hell of a blessing. I want to share it with as many gamers who haven't experienced it yet. Again, the other cons are good. I'm not saying, listen, Game Hall is awesome. Total Con is a great local con. Gary Con is bucket list. Shire Con is my one-day go-to con. Great convention. Tom does a great job. But North Texas is, it's the con that goes to 11.
So before we slap Gary on the ass and send him out the room.
Well, hey,
easy there.
Let's get all the for those who are interested, we're going to post a link for the tabletop games. Eric posted it earlier. We're going to post that again because you post it. This is a link to our con. If you want to sign up and get it, you have to get a badge to register for games. And so this is, and what's the cost? Do we have any discounts going right now, Gary? Is it full price now? Or
it's full price now. All the discounts are gone.
All discounts are gone.
If you have a special request, contact, instant message me on Facebook, and we'll talk about it.
And so the tabletop events that our webpage will be up. We don't really have a URL for that yet, right?
It's going to be it'll be the standard NTRPG.com website. The site's finished. He just sent me the finished thing, and all I have to do is get David to change the DNS pointers tonight. So it usually takes 24 hours for those to propagate, so they'll probably be up tomorrow.
If you're on Facebook, North Texas RPG Con. Now, there's a few other North Texas pages. That's the main page. Go there. We also have a North Texas RPG Con auction page. We have auctions there every 2 weeks. They benefit the con in one way or another. And we've had some really, really good items go up. I mean, kind of some of those are pretty amazing items. We've had people say, whoa, you're auctioning this on the North Texas RPG auction page. Yes, because we got a lot of shit to get rid of, don't we, Gary, in the warehouse?
Yes, we do.
We've got to get rid of.
My God,
there's some good stuff going up. And then we also have a Discord page. I will post a link to the Discord.
There's a link on the website for it, too.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Because we let it. That was really kind of Doug's baby. There's a long story about that too. I won't get into about how Doug stole my Discord page. But let's just say that Doug took over the Discord page. But the last year he was really when I took it back over, everything I noticed had not been updated since 2021. Doug was just too sick, and so I updated everything for 2022. we're trying to get a little. We'll try to get some stuff going there when we do an online port of the convention this year. It'll be run through that Discord page. That'll be a place where people can meet up and sign up for games. We will have some stuff online. We'll probably start worrying about that closer to the con because we really don't have to really set anything up for that. If you want to run an online game, you can just basically just go get a room there and say, hey, show up to this room, and we'll have a sign. I think we'll have a sign up page on the tabletop events eventually, right?
Tabletop does have a virtual sign up.
Yep. So if you want to do virtual games, we have a few people that are interested in running virtual games only. They just can't make it to the con. We had one guy, and I can't remember who it was, that he's never been to our con, still has never been to our con, but he's run online games the last 2 years and had a great time. He said he felt like he's part of the convention. I feel like I'm part of the convention now. I'm never able to get to you guys, but now running games online makes it great. So those are our main menus of main areas of contact: the Facebook page, Discord page. And then, like I said, tabletop events. Probably the Facebook page is the best place to go for information. I know some people just don't do Facebook, but that really is. You can if you don't do Facebook, you can get on Facebook and just sign up for our page and just ignore everything else. Don't worry about anything else and just pay attention to our page. But we'll have updates. We'll start having them on, like I said, the Discord page. I'm going to post a special guest list there a little later, and then watch this show because we're lucky that Eric's a big backer of the con. So we talk about the show. Like, let's just talk about the show. So that's the main way to get information.
And I'll try to do better about posting on Discord for announcements and things when I make my Facebook posts. I'll try to make sure I do them in both places for updates about things like if there's a change to ticket sales or whatever, things like that. So
right.
I'll just try to keep up to date. But by by tomorrow or the next day, I'll start working on getting game approvals. All the special guests will have their badges by tomorrow, and so the game submissions will really start picking up then. And then I'll try to get those approved as quickly as possible next week. But we should start having the website up by Friday, the tabletop merchandise turned on by Friday, so that people can spend the weekend in their underwear just going nuts on the website. And
I do all the time anyway. So
yes, I know, but
I
do.
But we want the camera turned off when you do that.
Oh, you tell me not to turn the camera on when I do that?
Stand up, Mike.
I understand. I didn't understand that part. You explained that. Well, when the police called, I understood, but it wasn't until that happened that I didn't, knew anything about that. So I plead total innocence. I don't know what the problem was. I really don't. I'm posting the Discord link now too, so you can join the Discord page. Like I said, I am going to try to keep the Discord page going, and we're going to try to put some content and stuff up there. I like Discord. I know some people don't like Discord. I like it. I think it works perfectly well.
David's giving me an education on Discord, so I'm getting a little bit better with it. So.
It was a short learning curve. It was tough for about a week, and then I realized what's going on. And now I have no problem going there. So. Any last words, Gary, before you leave, before you kick your ass out of here?
No, thanks for having me. I'm sorry to take up all y'all's time.
And Gary, thank you so much for popping on. It worked out great. We didn't have anybody today, and so what about Gary? Gary's got all this great stuff going on, and make no mistake. The only thing I did this week was ask people, special guests that wanted to come to the show anyway to come to the show. Gary's doing all the hard work in the background. He really is. And yes, I run the auctions, but honestly, I think auctions are easy because I've done it for 25 years now. So Gary does the hard stuff. He's doing the nuts and bolts crap that I don't want to deal with. So, big hand to you, Gary. Thank you so much for everything.
I'm glad to do it. So, well, thank you for having me. I'm like I said, I'm sorry it went long. I didn't mean to take up all this time.
No, that's okay. No, really, no.
But
we cover everything we know in the next 30 minutes. We'll be fine.
Okay, and I'll try to, like I said, I'll try to update Facebook and Discord more effectively in the coming days, so that everybody. Yeah, and I do. You're right, Bob. I do need to. But this is my. Look, I'm a busy guy. I got paper stacked all over the place back here. Yes.
Yeah, we actually made. Gary brought that up before we actually went live.
I did. I brought it up. I said, "Do I need to put a sheet up or something?" So.
No, this is fine. Like I said, I gave the peek before to the guys to see like what was really behind me. But if you watch Gamers Health, folks, you know what's behind me normally because we don't use the virtual camera for that or the virtual background. So There you go. Don't let Gary go. Listen,
Jen, of course, Jen. Yeah,
She's so sweet to me.
she's tired of looking at us. She wants.
Well,
She gets it.
she is.
Well,
She
Zach
is
pays
such
no
a nice
attention to her
person.
ever. Zach
Oh,
pays no
yeah.
attention to her
Uh,
ever.
Well,
it's
she
criminal.
she reached out to me a couple of times with some of the sweetest messages on behind IMs. She's just a nice person.
Yeah,
She's just sweet. She really is.
she's reached out to me with some of the most outrageous pictures that have ever been shared on the internet. Which I immediately sent back to Zach because I don't I don't believe in that. But yeah, she's something.
So, well, thank you for having me. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Like I said, I'll try to I'll try to keep up to date information on the websites and so forth. But then also too, if we have some major announcement or something, I'll get with you. And let
Yes.
you know.
Sounds good.
That sounds
All right,
great.
guys.
Thanks, Gary. Talk to you
Thanks
later.
for having me. Take care.
All right.
And then there were two.
And that was Gary Oliver. And we've been wanting to have him on the stream forever and ever. And it just worked out really good this weekend because we got so much stuff done. And Gary was available. We were available. It was great. And so, yeah, that's just a little update of the con. And I, we could keep talking about how great it is, and you're going to get tired of us here and tired of hearing how great it is. So I would just come to the con. And so when we talk about it, you can go, yeah, man, you're right. It is, instead of having to go, God, I'm tired of these guys talking about how great this con is all the time. But it really is. It's a great con. And thanks to Gary. Gary fills in all the spots I can't do perfectly. We complement each other very well. He doesn't want to have to call special guests up and talk to them and schmooze, and he doesn't want to do auctions and everything that I do. He doesn't want to do everything he does. I don't want to do. So it works out perfectly.
Right. Well, I mean, everybody has their own strengths and this stuff, and you know all the special guests, right? You've been handling that for years.
For years. And that's I talk about that all the time. It's so funny because I know I've told this many times. It's hilarious that I'll be at dinner and I'm like, oh, my phone's ringing. Alan Hammock, he can wait. And I just, oh, who's calling out? Tim. Oh, Tim Cass. Oh, I can't talk to Tim right now. And I'm thinking, what would 18-year-old me have said if the phone rings and Alan Hammock was on the phone? It's Alan Hammock.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 18-year-old me would have been oohing and eyeing and would not believe the people that I actually get to talk with. But 54-year-old me is kind of like, yeah, you know what? And they all, shit every morning, and same as me. Just that they published shit that I didn't publish. Sorry. Maybe some of them don't shit, Mike. I couldn't say.
So we did go a lot longer with Gary than we thought, but we didn't really. We were just going to talk about some recent stuff here. How much attention Eric has gotten lately. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you something, Eric. What? I got the package from Emperor's Choice today.
Oh, you did?
Oh. I haven't opened it yet. It is a giant ass box. I am so excited.
Awesome.
Because I got a map. I got the long thing with the map in it, which the map is cool. So I am going to be ready for when Emperor's Choice comes on because it looks like it's going to be some really great stuff in there.
I believe they are penciled in or penned in for March 3rd, but I will verify that. I should be more organized in my. I need to print out a calendar. I always say that I need to print out a calendar and actually write this stuff down. Are you muted?
No, I got it. I could do the same thing. I think we have after them. We have tentatively scheduled the Silver Boulet guys.
Yes,
Ian and Rocky, who's going to have a Kickstarter, and then after that we have.
We have to schedule Griff Morgan, who is the man behind the Blackmore documentary, or one of the men behind it. Right. We have to also schedule Greg Gillespie, who
Dr. Gillespie's been after us because his Dworo Maze, or I'm sorry, Dworo Deep is coming out in a few months. He kicked ass on this Kickstarter. He got it done, I think by ahead of time. I don't think it was supposed to be due till this fall. Apparently, it's going to be ready in the summer. So he's going to probably want to talk to us about that, about Dworo Deep.
Yep, and then Tim Connolly. We got to get Tim in.
Oh, yeah, and Tim Connolly, who we just realized has not been on in a year.
Yes.
But so we had a great time last time. We had Tim Connolly on of Benchley Dale fame. We're gonna have him on again. So yeah, we got a pretty good. And we'll try. Well, I think we're gonna do, if that's okay with you, Eric, what we did last year, which was do a lead up to North Texas. We had a great lead up to North Texas last year. We had a North Texas guest on every week, and so that was really fun. We had a great time with that. We had Steve Winter on. We had Steve Winter on the show. Steve Winter came on the show. It's hard to believe.
I can't believe
Alan Hammock came on the show. I mean, come on. Who are we? We're nobodies. It's crazy.
We're little somebodies. We're not big. We're not big buddies. Well, we might be big, but we're not big in the sense that I'm not talking about the ample points that I can still lose more on. But yes, gamer 2X or 3X if I want to win my firearm, I guess. In any case, yes, Mike, you are in for an awesome catalog of books. Yes, because Shadow also got the.
Nice. What did we? So, we got a few minutes here. What do we have any this week in gaming stupid that we need to catch up on? Because we have so many things happening that every week it changes. It's just crazy.
There's one I did a disservice to because I did not realize what I was looking at until the end of the video where I was looking at it, and then I realized it was a troll within a troll within a troll. So that takes a certain amount of skill to do, even in the gaming industry. So let me share this. So I was talking about this, by the way, this Michael Hovermail account is holding up giant lands. And I can tell you right now, I sincerely doubt Michael was hired to replace Stephen Deinhardt as the communications director at TSR. So I don't think he'd be holding up the product of the person he replaced. But it's a troll account. That's okay. Take it for what it's worth, and it's written in Lesser-Lenassian, complete with spelling mistakes. So obviously it was going for a mark. And the cover, I didn't realize, was not the what do they call it? Genuine fake. It's not the genuine fake that TSR had initially shown us, which was a TSR fake. This is apparently quite possibly, you can't say it with absolute sincerity or surety, but it's likely a Steve Deinhardt troll account with the Steve Deinhardt mock-up of a fake Star Frontiers, not genuine, with just a really great troll within a troll. If you're looking at this expecting to see the original fake stack of books that TSR was showing, you'll look at it real quickly and go, "Oh, that's the same thing." Oh, but they put a Space Invader on it. Oh, maybe they put a fake sticker on it. Then I looked closer and I was like, "Oh no!" So he got to troll TSR and Michael Hovermail and I guess the gaming community at large, and Justin in particular with the spelling mistakes in the twittering, the release there on Twitter. So I thought that was fun. But
that Deinhardt has a little game in him, doesn't he? He's got some game.
He's got some
and apparently from what we've learned, he hates just Lanas a lot more than we thought. They hate each other a lot more than we thought. That was not an amicable passing there or parting there.
Right.
They do not like each other. So that's great.
Well, apparently, Deinhardt was the one that secured all of the websites. So he's the one that registered all the websites related to the initial TSR. So when him and Justin had their breakup, and I'm going to call it a breakup because it's what it seemed like. When the relationship broke up and the company got divorced, Justin took all his websites with him, including TSR, and I think that there's a lot of there's strong emotions going back and forth between those two. So
yeah, that I mean, Yeah, that and he tried to did he try to sell the sites online even?
He did.
Which
He
was
did. I don't
funny
know what he
because
was. I know, and honestly, I mean, I was amused by that. I was like, well, it's something I could throw some of the tavern money at, and I was like, why? What? I didn't even reach out to Don Hart because I'll be honest with you, I don't think he was actually trying to sell them. I think he was just trying to tweak Justin by saying, haha, look, and I'm going to sell them to whoever. I think that was a tweak. I don't really think it was a true offer, but I don't know. I never made the offer. I didn't even inquire, but I do remember him trying to sell it. But that's kind of like, again, I think that's reminiscent of when TSR was trying to license out use of the graphical trademarks initially. If you're an OSR publisher and you want the Lizard Man, reach out to us and we can license it to you. I think that was on a similar trolling. I think that, like you said, Deinhardt he's got game, and he's certainly set things up for a good troll because this troll account only posted back in I guess August of 2020, according to this, and that was it. So. It's like a stealth account, man. It's like a bit of stealth. And yeah, was the what was the Twitter leaker Revenge Chad? Was that?
Oh, Revenge Chat. That was that all last week because that was some great stuff. So
I think that was the end of last week, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Well, I think we had the tweets on last show, so they had
Oh,
started it last
okay.
week. Yeah, did he shut that one down or is it still
that's
open?
That account has been either removed, deleted, or privatized.
It was an extreme insider. There was some quite juicy details about a lot of people that were leaked out in that Twitter account. So
yeah,
that was interesting. Yeah, and apparently things are even more chaotic in the TSR leadership area than we even thought. You know, that apparently that place is no fun place to be right now. And so yeah, that was a fun Twitter account that disappeared much too quickly, but it was great reading it when it was up because it was like burning down the house, baby. It was all fire. It was on fire all the time. So
well,
that's unfortunate that shut down. But I think we're going to see more things like that. Look, make no mistake. When is Gary Con in 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah. So hold on. So, as is TSR Con. So I hold on.
Yeah. So you say week. I was going to say that's going to be TSR Con's make it or break it week because.
Right.
First of all, do they still only have like 11 people sign up for games or 14?
No. I think it's a dozen and a half.
Okay, so
but here I'll bring up the page because. All right, hold on. Add to stream. So this is the TSR Con. So here we have best to figure this one out is to go to get your badge. Because you get your badges by the day at TSRCon. So you can see how many people are going to show up for every day. I don't know if anybody's buying multiple badges, but we've got 3 people for Thursday, 6 people for Friday. That puts us at 9. 4 more people for Saturday. So that puts us at 13. And 2 people for Sunday. So sorry, 15. 15
that
people.
was more than they had 2 months ago. I think they only had 8 at one point. So they've actually got 15 people to attend their convention. But so yeah, but they're going to have to. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is they're going to have their new Star Frontiers because isn't that supposed to be a free copy to everybody that plays the Star? Well, maybe he can get around that if the rules aren't finished by saying, well, nobody signed up for the Star Frontiers game, so we're not going to get
I guess we should check who signed up for Star Frontiers. So Starfleet Battles. Actually, if you want to play an Ernie's game on Thursday, no, that's not Thursday. Let's go to the first day. On Thursday, Dave Johnson is running. Oh, day 2, Friday. Dave Johnson is running Star Frontiers, and there are 10 slots, and apparently nobody cares. because there are 10 slots and there are 10 slots open. All right. So it looks like let's see if there's any other Starfront. Oh, that's the only time. I thought there was more than one. All right. So you know what? Right now, there's nobody playing Star Frontiers.
Oh wow.
So I guess you don't really need to have it available if nobody is playing it.
You could so even if these rules don't exist, which we really suspect they don't, you don't have to prove it then if nobody signed up for the game. So, I guess we'll see what happens the next month. If nobody signs up for the game, they can just say, well, we were going to give it out, but we decided since nobody there played it, so we're not going to do that. But I think there's still a lot of people out there that prepaid for the rules, right?
I don't know.
Wasn't there a prepayment?
You know what? There was. It was for sale, but it was never actually for sale. It was on the website.
It was never for sale.
It was back ordered right away.
Yeah, back ordered. Mm-hmm.
So,
what was the first printing? 3 copies or 2 copies supposedly? Which, by the way, we've never seen. So I don't think it exists.
As a half dozen or so that went to immediate members. Haven't seen
it. I don't believe it exists. Haven't seen it. No.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. Like that's what I said about make or break. At a certain point, he's going to have to show those rules and they exist. And at a certain point, they're going to have to say. I mean, look, I hate to say it, but 15 people, they could say that's a successful game weekend, I guess. And let's say 2 or 3 other people pop in, from TSR Con. If you end up with about 20 people there. Look, it's just a house. I mean, if 20 people show up to my house is full of people,
Well, but it's 20 people over the course of 4 days. So
and they're paying $100 a piece,
Well, it depends on the game. I think that Ernie was $100 a piece. I think Duck is come on, stop. Duck is $100.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Ernie was, I believe, to play in Justin's game, it's $50 a head.
Mm-hmm.
I could let me see. I need to know. $50 a ticket to play in a Lanasa game. But if you want to play Star Frontiers, remember you're going to get a free copy. It's $100 a ticket. So doesn't seem like too many people are all that excited.
Yeah.
And isn't this in exactly a month now or something like that? I mean, is it like 4 weeks away?
Yeah, I think it's exactly a month. I'm pretty sure. Heck, Total Con's next week, right? I think it's next week.
Yeah, I think
or the week after.
I think it's
not this weekend, but next weekend. Yeah, not this weekend, but next weekend. Yeah. Wow,
and
that's
now there's another convention that people were wondering if it was linked to TSR Con. It's Dave Con. And it's
Dave Con's the one in Minneapolis, right? Minnesota.
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem to have much to do with Dave Arneson's heirs, but I don't think, from my understanding, they're not involved in any of this.
Yeah, that's an odd one because it was made to celebrate, Dave, just like Gary Con celebrates Gary, except that for some reason, and I'm not even going to speculate why, because I have no clue. None of the Arneson family is on board, so. I don't know. It's like having Gary Con with none of the Gygaxes there, which would be weird. I think that would be very odd.
But you are going to have a Dave Con with a Gygax. Arnie's going to be at Dave Con, from my understanding, which is he's a special guest. So that makes it interesting because the Gygax and Arneson families don't really seem to be on the same page like Gary and Dave weren't on the same page. There were legal actions taken, disputes. So now Dave Con is selling silver badges, which gives you the third choice of an event. Gold at 75, which gives you second choice at an event, and 1 premium event seat. And platinum gives you first choice and a swag bag. Oh, you don't get a swag bag until you get at least gold. They have 6 gold badges sold and 12 platinum, so they have 18. No standard, admission sold. So yeah, this is further out than TSR Con, and it has more attendees. And they're attending for all 4 days, whereas TSR Con, if you're attending on 2 days, you're counting yourself twice. So I don't know.
Right.
Just kind of why? And then here's the other question: what's the break-even point for these conventions? I mean, every convention has a minimum number of attendees you need to be viable. I don't. Dave Con is actually using, I don't know, a gaming space. Not it isn't. They don't own the venue. TSR
Yeah,
Con,
they're just renting a spot. Yeah.
Yeah, TSR Con, it's a venue that's already owned by TSR. They're not going to lose any money on it technically because they're not spending any money on it. But Dave Con, if they don't hit their break-even point, which I don't know what it is, you can lose your money on it. You might be better off just canceling it. I don't know.
Well, they've got. Look, their special guests are all really got old guys. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They are, and they've got some, older people there. I don't know how much of a draw some of those guys are anymore. That's one of the reasons why in North Texas we have people from the early days of the hobby as well as people, from the later days of the hobby, because a lot of those guys there are older and they might not be drawing the kind of people they want to draw. And I don't know, it just seemed like the con I didn't hear about it, just kind of came out of nowhere. It's almost like, you kind of need to build up. You need to build, you get word of mouth out, you appear on some shows like our show, you talk about your con, you go to other cons and talk about your con, and I just don't know if they did any of those steps. And it's really tough to say, unless you have a built-in audience, because I know the first year we did North Texas, I said we only had 55 people, which we considered a success because we literally decided to do the con in February and then it was in June. But we had word of mouth through the AKM, the site online for collectors, gaming RPG collectors. And then Doug and I also kind of had a circle of friends that were all gamers. So we put out word of mouth within our circle. I just don't know who's the guy that's putting on the convention. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting his name. Victor?
For the Dave?
The Dave Con, yeah. I don't know I just don't know he got that much word of mouth out. I don't know what his word of mouth was like. I have no clue. I don't know what kind of word of mouth he got out. But
I haven't seen much on it. You're not seeing much actually on TSR Con now. TSR Con, one thing that does strike me, I don't know if I can zoom in a little bit. They're available. Their maximum tickets, the maximum badges you could sell for each day, is 400. I don't know how you fit 400 people at the Dungeon House.
In that house, in the old house there, no.
The occupancy limit is probably a couple of dozen, so I don't think there's any real expectations that they're going to hit any of that.
Look, I've said this before. I honestly, being in the position they're in, it's probably a genius move to schedule this the same time as Gary Con, because I don't know whether you get very people otherwise to come by. I think there is a very, very small subset of people that are going to Gary Con that will probably say, hey, yeah, let's head over to TSR Con building or the TSR Hobby Shop and check it out. So that's probably was a good idea on their part, to be honest with you, to schedule at the same weekend, because if it had, let's say they ran on July 4th like they're going to, I don't know if anybody showed up.
Shadow, just so you know, the new Star Frontiers, there was an announcement, I believe, in one of the Star Frontiers communities that they spoke with TSR, and it has 0 of the IP and 0 of the rules that you would, it's built on the D20 chassis, the OGL, and it has none of the IP because the IP is all owned by those big bad bullies, Wizards of the Coast. And so it's going to be Star Frontiers name only. I mean, for some people, that's enough.
Well, I think what he's talking about is they had discussion whether or not to remove all discussion of that version because it is not going to be Star Frontiers, and I think it was pretty heavily towards let's just don't even allow talk on that on the Star Frontiers page because it's Star Frontiers in name only, and so I think that's where they're headed on that. So I read that same discussion that he did,
Yeah,
and they're like, look, this is not going to be Star Frontiers, so why we should not cover it on the Star Frontiers page. And I think most people were in perfect agreement. They said, yeah, that's true. It's not going to be Star Frontiers. And at this point, I don't even know if they're pretending it's going to be Star Frontiers because the stuff they're throwing out there makes me think that, yeah, it's not going to, we're just letting you know right off the bat, don't be too upset because it's not really going to be Star Frontiers.
See, John, I read that initially as another fine grit. But no, you're right. Grift. I'm sorry. I was just thinking of women wrestling. Grift. I'm sorry. But no, again, could we be surprised? Apparently, Dave Johnson is the one that's writing it. He's also the one that's going to be running it at the convention. And maybe it's going to be a great game, a great sci-fi game. It's just not going to be the Star Frontiers game that the fans of Star Frontiers are looking to see. So really, they didn't need to buy or try to secure the trademark because it's not going to be anything like the original. They could just publish it as a new game with a new title, and probably would have gotten a lot less flack.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everything's just been a misstep because we explained how to run the company a while back, and about releasing something with Ernie's name on it, and they didn't get that. They didn't do that until Vince donated something to them. They didn't even write it. Vince donated it, and it's still not even out yet. It's still going to be another, I don't know how long before it comes out.
Well, here's the thing. It was supposed to ship before the end of last month. Yeah. And they were taking all these pre-orders, and you got to get your pre-orders in because it's going to ship the last day of the month. What I'm hearing is it's shipping this week, maybe. I don't know. I'll find out when my copy arrives.
That was the one thing we said that, they need to get product out. They need to get product out. The whole last year we said that. And there was no product. And then finally, because somebody donates something to them, they're going to have a product to be released. And so I guess we'll see when that product comes out, what happens.
Yeah. Well, as I stated earlier on one of the episodes, I ordered whatever they actually have on sale at TSR, but it's not being delivered to me not because I don't want to give Justin my address. I know he already has my address because he's already sent me fake shit to my address. Literally, fake shit. So, do I want my purchases that I will be using for review reasons to be, I don't know, have real shit on them? No, I don't. I probably pass on. I like to pass on the Justin feces freebie.
Oh boy.
So
it could have ricin in there too. You never know. So yeah, maybe it's best
to
dude.
I did I tell you back in the Myth and Magic days? When the Kickstarter that was like never shipping. You saw photos of all these boxes stacked in the guy's apartment, and it never shipped. And I was bitching about that. So he decides that he's going to one of my earlier doxing moments. He doxed me with my shipping information.
I remember that. I remember this.
As a comment on Kickstarter on a weekend, I give Kickstarter a lot of credit. I complained, and within 2 hours, it was down. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Kickstarter for that. And he got a little slap on the wrist. So when mine shipped, I arrived at like the winter time. I went out in my backyard with rubber gloves and a knife, and I carefully cut it open because I was like, is it going to be rinsing, anthrax, bodily fluids? Needed to make sure. But he was a lawyer and probably realized that he could get in big trouble for doing that.
Yeah, he was already skating towards disbarment because they don't usually most people don't like their lawyers to pull off fraud. And that was borderline fraud. So I think he was sweating it anyway. So
especially when you're a tax attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's never a good look. Never a good look.
Right. So Do you know when George of Emperor's Choice will be on? I believe March 3rd. So
real quick, somebody posts or they PM me. Even though Justin, if the TSR, if Star Frontiers isn't played, he already promised that after TSR Con, the Star Frontiers rules would be released. So he's still on the hook, even if nobody plays Star Frontiers. He actually said that. He said that they are going to be ready for release after the con for people to actually buy.
Oh, at the con.
After the con's over, you will be able to buy. This is what Justin said. You will be able to buy Star Frontiers.
But you were going to get a free copy at the con. So I'm confused.
Right. So it's got to be ready at the con. So no matter what happens, you can't use the excuse that, well, nobody played it at the con, so I didn't release it. No, you said it was going to be ready no matter what after the con for general release. So
but then after the con could be like 2025.
Boy, you're deviously thinking here. He should hire you to be a one of his promo guys. Yeah.
No, but I'm just listen. I was a cop, and we joke around as gamers, all right? That we game with like rules lawyers that are always looking to. I had working for me when I was a sergeant. I had rules lawyers that would try to find the holes in the patrol guide to keep themselves out of trouble from having to do their work. Well, actually, Sarge, what it says here is so. If you're saying it'll be released after the convention, it means that it won't be released before it, and it won't be released during it. And after the convention is infinity. That is,
yeah, right. I never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely correct. He could say, since nobody played it at the con, I didn't release it at the con, but it's released after the con, and then just you never really have a date that you're going to release it. Just kind of, we're going to let it slide for a few months. So,
have you thought about having Tim Kask on your shows? I love Tim. I enjoy spending time with Tim at conventions. I don't know if we would go off the rails pretty quickly, the three of us, if we had Tim on. I don't. Tim walks his own path. And it would be the Tim Kask with Tenkar and Bad Mike show. So we'd have to follow.
I would love to have Tim on because Tim is very interesting if he's unfiltered.
Oh my God,
he can be crotchety too. He can be a crotchety old crotch, but I guess we could ask him at some point, maybe before TS. Maybe he'll be one of the people we asked before North Texas this year because he's coming back from North Texas after a 2-year layoff. So maybe we can.
All right. Oh, that would work. On. But just understand that if Tim comes on, it's the Tim show with.
Yeah, we're just hanging on for dear life. There's no direction here.
Yeah. Oh, there's a direction, but it's Tim's direction. That if you know Tim personally, you know that, and that's why. Listen, I love Tim's curmudgeon in the dungeon. I watch it when he puts up a new episode. They are highly entertaining. They are. Pure Tim. I'd love to have him on, but just understand we're along for the ride as long as like the rest of you. It probably wound up being Mike interjecting at sometimes and me running with your comments. I'm making sure I'm catching up because you guys are going to be throwing them out left and right. I know it.
He's of all the old guys that talk about the old days. I'll be honest with you, Tim's one of the sharpest ones because his human nature that stories change. One of the things I got out of reading John Peterson's book was that you can't necessarily trust these people's memories because I remember for years I always heard Gary's side of the story about how he got fired and how the company was run to the ground. And basically it's all the Bloom's fault and it's all Lorraine Williams' fault. And he was perfectly innocent and everything was going great. And then over the years, these kind of other stories would come through and you'd hear this, that. And then the Game Wizards came out and basically John Peterson put the lie to both of those. It wasn't all the Blooms and it wasn't all Lorraine Williams. Some people could say that Lorraine Williams saved the company because it was going into the dirt. It was being driven into the dirt until she bought out the Blooms and Gary. But so stories change over time. Tim, his stories have remained remarkably the same. And he has, he remembers things with really good clarity, and I think that's really interesting because I've heard his stories over the years. He tells the same stories. He doesn't change. The stories don't change. And
Right.
he's not always the hero. He's not always the, I was the most wonderful guy, I did this and that. He doesn't give himself a lot of credit, where credit's not due. And so I tend to trust Tim's stories a lot. And I'll tell you something else. He told the famous story, first I ever heard about Dave Arneson dropping off the notes because Blackmore was late. They kept asking Dave, we need the notes for Blackmore. We have 2 editors ready to work on this project. Tim Kask and Steve Marsh are ready to do it. And they kept telling him, wouldn't bring him. So one day he walks in with a peach basket with all this paper just shoved in there, not in order, not stacked up, nothing, and said, here's Blackmore, and walks out. And so Tim Kask and Steve Marsh have to go, they basically do a rewrite. They basically rewrite the entire Blackmore. And Tim always says that it should have been Blackmore by Dave Arneson, Tim Kask, and Steve Marsh, because that's how much work they did. They did that much work just trying to make it readable.
Right.
He told the story for years. I finally asked Steve Marsh if this was true, and I trust Steve will not lie to you. I mean, Steve is one of the most trusted people in the business, and he said everything Tim said was absolutely correct. Because, you figured Tim's exaggerating a little, right? Okay, it wasn't all thrown in a peach basket. What's that? And Steve said, no, that's pretty much what happened. Tim and I rewrote the entire thing. And so I tend to trust Tim's recollections pretty well. And the great thing about Tim, too, is if you catch him at a convention, he'll tell you some stuff he won't say online because he's pretty smart. He won't be caught saying stuff, online that might get him into trouble. So if you see him at a con, if you want to hear a good story, tell him to tell you.
He's a bit more unfiltered on the cons, but he's still pretty much unfiltered. Is Wenger part of the new TSR? Listen, do I occasionally communicate with V? Yes. My understanding, and again, this could have changed, but my understanding from, I don't know, a couple of months ago, is that V was running a game at
supposed to be. Yeah, I don't think anybody signed up for it, but yes, it's supposed to be running a game.
He's been running a session or 2 at TSR Con because he, wants to support a new convention. Does that make him part of TSR? Yeah, I don't think he's writing anything for them.
Think so. No.
All right, so I mean, because listen, whatever you're gonna say about Wenger, you got to admit that he is prolific with what he writes. It's always something new coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I don't like what he's putting out, it's usually a high quality. And that's
it's very he writes provocatively. Let's put it. Let me say that it's very provocative, but it's not bad. It's not bad stuff. It's just very provocative. It's going to cross the line at some point. It's going to cross the line always.
Right. So I don't see him producing stuff for TSR because their production quality, from what we can see so far, is not the highest. Mm-hmm. But again, he likes tweaking people too, so maybe this is a tweak. I don't know.
For what we've seen, V's stuff is like it's here, and TSR's quality stuff is down here. So no, he's not going to publish anything for TSR. He's being opportunistic and saying, hey, I'll appear at TSR Con because, honestly, probably Gary Con's not really. He's been at Gary Con before, though. We saw him at Gary Con, so he's been there before. I had
breakfast with him a number of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. It was several years ago, but I don't know if he thinks that his audience would be more receptive at TSR Con. I don't think they will because it's a bunch of old TSR grognard types. They're going to think Wenger's a weirdo, and so I don't know what Wenger's doing here. It just, I don't know. He's doing what he always does. He's being whatever controversial and doing something against
gathering, and that's he does. Yeah, he's learned how to do that. Have you had Harold Johnson on? No, we have not.
We don't really have a connection to Harold, although I think he and Chris Clark are good friends. We could always ask him. I would be interested in getting Harold to come to North Texas. I know Doug met him when he went to Wisconsin, his Wisconsin trip, and they hit it off. It's just weird. now Harold he does a con called Nexus up in Milwaukee. I think it's usually during the summer. So I know he does that con, and I just have never really spoken to the man. You know, it's not like he's hard to get a hold of or anything, but and it's too bad Doug is gone because, like I said, Doug had connection with him. But maybe we'll talk to Chris Clark because Chris Clark knows him. I've heard that Harold knows where a ton of the bodies are buried too, just like all these guys. I don't know how much he would share with us, but
right.
you know, he's been there. He was there a long time. He did a lot of jobs at TSR when he was there.
Like the old stuff much better than the new games. Listen, that's why.
Yeah.
Listen, I like the new stuff that's put out for the old games. How about that? There's a lot of like good new stock for old IP, and I think that's what the OSR, as the old school Renaissance, is about. It's getting people to play the old systems using fresh material, and I think that works. So
yeah.
Wow, Mike. I think witching hour and then some. Holy shit.
What now?
We've hit the witching hour and then some. We're at 2:15.
Yeah, we had Gary. Gary was much more interesting than I gave him credit for. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, we this is kind of a placeholder show because we got stuff coming up. I think I can tell people this, Eric. That there's a lot of things that might blow in the next couple of weeks, and we just really can't get into it now. But you're going to want to stay tuned to Talking Crit the next few weeks, just in case. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we just can't talk about. So it's kind of frustrating to get out here and have to talk around stuff. That's all I can say, really. Yeah, so you know,
we're not trying to be like, oh,
no,
we can't. We literally listen until and there's just stuff. There's a lot of moving parts going on, and honestly, we're observers. So we're observing, and we got to wait. You know, at Watch Pot never boils. It could stuff could come to a head next week. It could take a month. Could take whatever. But there's this movement going on in the hobby, the industry, the community. It's going to be interesting times. But you know, in the meantime, we plan on having people like. No, you know what, Greg? We talked about you at the beginning, but you know, I know Canadians aren't very good at like figuring out.
Greg, you're on the list. Greg's on the schedule. We didn't mention him though, but Greg is next month, right? I mean,
it'd be later this month. You know, we gotta like move some stuff around. But
we don't have any more. We have one more. Do we have somebody next week? We don't have anybody, do we?
We don't have anybody next week.
Oh well.
No, we don't. Well, we don't have. We don't have anybody next week.
Okay, well, maybe Greg can slide in next week. We'll see. But I think Greg wants to talk Dwaro Deep, which is going to be released by the summer, I believe. So that's and it's going to be guaranteed. And Greg has some new projects too. He's got this monster book he's working on. So yeah, I think he wants to talk about his stuff, and we love to talk to Greg because it's like talking to a scholar. It's like talking to John Peterson. They're scholarly. They're above us. Like, you know, we're down here and they're like up here, and we just kind of like, you know, look at them all with awe and say, oh, that's your words are so pretty, Mister. You know, so yeah, I guess we could talk about having Greg on next week if he wants to roll in here next week. That'd be great.
Are you saying that, like, you know, you're gonna talk to Greg like you're pretty there, Mister? I like the way you wear them pants.
Well, look, I'm a dude and I like chicks. I'm going to tell you that right now. Greg is a good-looking man. I've seen him in a bathing suit at the beach on his Facebook page, and you know, he's a good-looking dude. Just telling you.
As your work spouse, you're getting me very jealous, Michael.
He's kind of ripped. He's just a little ripped. He's looking good for a college professor. You know, if you want to teach college, that's how you need to look if you want to bring in the college chicks. I mean, he's the kind of, you know, it's like the Indiana Jones,
like us, like the average college professors.
Oh yeah, the average college professor. No, this. So yeah, you know, he's doing all right. I bet he's doing all right for himself. So, but that's a guy crush. He and I said before, he's one of my man crushes. So I'm allowed to say that he's my man crush. So, you know, with a few other people, he's definitely one of my man crushes. John Peterson's another one. So,
Mike is is Greg's hetero.
I'm letting loose all my man crushes today. Yes, Greg and John are two of them, two of my man crushes. But so a man, for those who don't know, a man crush, if that doesn't mean romantic, it means a man you would like to be. Like that's the guy I want to be, and that's what you know. So Greg is a professor who teaches RPGs. That's his job, and he's ripped. So I mean, okay, yeah. John Peterson is a guy whose job is writes about RPGs all day as he jets around Europe and South America and wherever his private jet goes. So yes, those are man crushes. I want to be them. So that's what a man crush is. It's not romantic or anything. So just to let you know.
Sounds like a valid excuse. I'll accept it for now.
Okay.
You're off the hook, Mike. You're off the hook. I'm not going to get too upset with you. So yes, so folks, there's again, we're not going to go into details because there's no details for us to give just yet. But things are going to, it's going to be an interesting late winter, early spring.
Mm-hmm. And if things break open, probably, I mean, I don't know, maybe around TSR Gary Con time, we may have to have a whole show about what happens. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't know.
On that note, folks, since we've kept you for, oh my God, 2 hours and 20 minutes
we're getting longer and longer every week. And, we don't lose a lot of viewers. That's the funniest part.
Well, are you kidding?
People stick with us.
Iron Rations, when we had everybody on last Friday, with the whole gaming group, including Matt Jackson.
I missed the show. I wanted to jump on.
Tim Short came on. I think we had 2 hours and 45 minutes. I had to mess with my bladder. I was like, listen, I'm not one of those gamers that sits here with a urinal in front of me so I can just pee during the show. I actually.
Why do you think I have so many cups? I have all these cups here. Why do you think I got these cups? Come on, man.
Right, more information that I need to know. Folks,
okay,
we're still in the midst of the world of the pandemic. It seems to be shaking out and lightening up and receding, or whatever you want to say. We're not judgmental, Mike and I. We're both vaccinated. We're boosted. We've both gotten COVID. Take actions to protect yourself, because you know what? Your actions aren't going to protect me. Okay? Take actions to protect yourself. Talk to a medical professional if you haven't been vaccinated and get their opinion. All right, ignore the talking heads on TV, the loudmouths on YouTube. I guess that could be me. Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice. Mm-hmm. I will be back for the next live stream. Will be this Friday, 8 p.m. with Glenn Hallstrom. Rachel and I will be doing Gamers Health on Saturday night at 8 p.m. And honestly, folks, you've all been awesome. I really do appreciate it. You make the show. You really do. Thank you, Shadow. And on that note,
later, everyone.